I want to get ahead of this. I did say on Twitter that it was a boring way to win compared to all the other storylines. I mean, we had Jordan Spieth, we had Shank hitting lefty, but you got the job done.
I pull for your Islanders, and you
Whoa.
for me, so it's fine.
Listen, like,
it's going to be an all-time backdraft. It's going to be an all-time. This is going the other way real fast.
Listen, I'm going to stick. Yes. I'm sticking to my guns.
Most exciting win in PGA Tour history.
Foreplay, presented by Barstool Sports, brought to you by our very good friends at the great American company of Chevrolet, taking everybody from the classics into the new age with Chevy EVs for everyone, everywhere. I'm joined by my good friends Trent, Frankie, and Latvian-American investor who was recently passed away and was a Putin critic, a vocal critic of Putin, Dan Rappaport, who died on August 14th, 2022, after allegedly falling from his 9-story apartment in Washington, D.C., per the New York Post.
Yeah, I knew about that guy. Obviously, I saw his name in the news, when he did tragically pass away.
So that's a real guy.
That's a real person. He spells it differently. He spells it like Ian Rappaport, R-A-P-O, where I'm R-A-P-A. So I knew that guy existed. But yeah, I want to know who saw that picture of a guy wearing a hat with a bear smoking a joint on it and a lanyard that clearly says PGA Tour all around it, and thought, you know what? That must be the Latvian investor who died after falling out of an apartment window.
So,
dude, I was confused because the New York Post actually put your picture in. Is that correct?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Because by the time I got to the link, they had changed it. So I thought some guy was just messing with you. I didn't realize that the New York Post actually put your picture in there.
This New York Post article came out, and it was a pretty serious article about mysterious deaths for people that are critical of Putin and the Russian regime. And this list right here, accidental deaths have also hit elite Russians since Putin chose to invade Ukraine. Goes on to say it's a bad time to disagree with Putin, which is a quote. There might have been a time when that would have slid, but tolerance for opposition to the war and the regime in general has narrowed considerably. And then there's 8 pictures listed, and one of them is just our very own Dan Rappaport.
And the names on there are like, they're like, do you have the picture up? They're like Volodymyr Zelensky. Yeah, it's like Terashenko, and then it's just your boy. It's just your picture of your boy. So I got a very good laugh out of that.
Got it right here. There's
crazy.
This is a screenshot.
I mean, you've now seen what it would be like to be included in like a mass death notice on the news. You know what I mean? Like 7 pictures of people where it's like, we lost these people too soon, and your face is just up there with your name like that. You got to witness what it would look like if you were in the New York Post for a horrible, mysterious death.
Definitely feel like I have a new lease on life. Definitely feel like it's
Putin just hasn't gotten to you yet. They put up, this is like a Final Destination shit where like you're supposed to be dead.
Not a radar you want to be on. Not a radar you want to be on.
Right. What if he saw that article and was like, I don't remember accidentally killing that guy, so we're gonna have to finish that one off. Yeah. Nikolai Mushegian, Anatoly Gerashenko, Dmitry Zelenov, and then your boy Dan Rappaport. So.
By the way, I mean, Putin is able to execute incredibly skilled people in the spy and espionage world that are very, they're as good at being able to defend themselves from this stuff as possible, and they get eliminated. So if Putin wanted to be like, oh, this Rappaport guy that maybe we missed him, it doesn't really matter, let's just get rid of him, that would be the easiest thing of all time. So
it would take them 1 second. I literally tweet where I am at all times.
No problem. So we gotta be a little bit careful, trying to stay off that radar. I'm glad, Dan, that didn't turn out to be true.
I made a somewhat of a regretful prediction a few months ago. I don't want to bring it back up, but
you did.
Sure, he's seems still like kicking. His vitals seems to have rebounded. I don't know what happened, but I think I said June, but we can move on. We can just move right on.
Oh, you gave it to June? Okay. All right.
Oh,
yeah. Chevrolet is a trusted company that has been innovating for the last 100 years. Think about that, boys. Imagine a company, right? We've been doing this for like 7 years, whatever the hell we've been doing here at Foreplay. Imagine another 93 years of this.
Oh my gosh.
It takes a real special company to be able to last that long. Real special.
Imagine the kind of merchandise you'd have in 93 years, what we're going to be doing. Up to now, most electric vehicles have been either too expensive, too small, and too limited in capabilities for most people. Chevrolet, the bow tie baby, is committed to making EVs available for all Americans. There's growing network of public charging stations. There's over 1,900 certified Chevy EV dealerships. Chevy has convenient ways to research and shop EVs online, which is what I highly recommend you do. My lease is coming up. I know Frankie talked a lot last year or beginning part of this year about how his lease is ending. I've been on that website. I've been trying to perfect. It's a big decision. It's a big decision what car you're going to go with, what you're going to drive every single day. When you're walking around those parking lots or parking garages looking for which one's yours and you see it, you want to feel good about it. You want to feel confident about it. You want to be like, yeah, baby, that's my ride. And Chevy has done that with the EVs and the EUVs. We saw those Silverado EVs at Phoenix Open Week.
They looked, I mean, they legitimately look fake. I don't know how the hell they're going to put those on the production line and like those are just going to be out in the streets. That's insane. It was an actual moving electric Silverado that I couldn't believe was a real car. So I'm deciding between the Blazer, Chevy EV, Silverado I could wait for and possibly put my name in the ring to try and reserve one. But then I was looking at, it's not the EV and not the EUV, but dude, this like 2023 Chevrolet Tahoe, look how fucking badass that thing is, man. Blacked out rims, unbelievable leather interior with the light gray mix on the black car. I'm looking at this thing and it's hard not to purchase a Chevy right now. I mean, I really think I found my like make and trim and my model. I've been going on that. I've been doing those infotainment systems. I've been adding all the things. It's got the 3 rows of seating, the whole deal. It's real nice. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard decisions because then the Blazer EV is like going to be probably the best car on the market when that comes out. Like that's the stuff that I'm reading about the Blazer EV is out of control. So it's like, it's hard not like what decision to make, but I don't know. It's exciting.
EVs for everyone, everywhere. Go check out Chevy. Go build. Go have your incredible experience that we've talked a lot about on their website. Convenient ways to research and shop EVs online. That's Chevy EVs for everyone, everywhere. We are going to have Taylor Moore, the Valspar Championship winner, on the show. So we're going to speak to him in the second half of the show. We haven't done that yet. We haven't recorded that yet, but hopefully that does come to fruition. So stay tuned for that. Obviously, the most recent winner. Go through everything in the back nine at Innisbrook, the Snake Pit, the whole deal. Interesting finish with Spieth up there, and he couldn't quite get it done. We had Shank with the tree incident on down the stretch as he's trying to close out. We had now that we have Dan, we're going to focus on this too, that a little bit of a kerfuffle with Kirk Minahan over the situation on 18 that I saw.
I really should not have responded to that tweet. That was a big mistake. I'm pretty good about never responding to people when they talk shit, but something about Kirk, I just kind of had to respond. Look, I agree with the decision playing a lefty, but let's not pretend like it was a no-brainer. That's why the caddy was asking him, hey, what do you think about a drop here? If you drop it, we have 170. If you look at the post, there's caddies who caddy on the PGA Tour who are like, yeah, I'd be pushing the drop here. Like, it wasn't a 100-0 question.
So let's set the table here, as they say in the business, is the Adam Schenk coming down the 72nd hole. He hits his bad tee shot, toey one, he said. Ends up right next to a tree, has no stance for a right-handed golfer, but as a lefty, he's got kind of a crazy option to flip the club over and try to chop at it and get it somewhere, advanced. You tweeted that we always talk about guys playing to win versus playing for money in crunch time. Adam Schenk could have easily taken an unplayable there. That's the safe option. Likely makes a 5, which would be a bogey. Tied for third at worst, but he said F that, which you didn't curse. You wrote F that, and went for the high-risk lefty swing because it gave him the best chance to win. Kirk Minahan quote tweeted it and simply wrote, he was tied for the lead, period. No one would have taken an unplayable in that spot, period. Absolutely no one, period. And then you responded to that and defended yourself. And like you're saying, in the moment, his caddy was at least lobbying for there being an option that is a very realistic option for them to take it unplayable and try to get it up and down from there, right?
Yeah, you're not making 3, right? So you're not going to win the tournament there because you're not hitting that lefty shot onto the green. So you're basically, and the caddy said because it was trampled down rough and they could see the flag, it would have been like 170 yards. So it's like an 8-iron. So he hits guaranteed 175-yard shot from a clean lie with a look at the green, needing to get up and down. Or he goes lefty. Best case scenario is he gets it in the fairway, which is you have no control. Worst case scenario is he whiffs completely or he hits himself or some disaster happens. Or what happens is what happened, which is he hit it lefty, he hit it good and went through the fairway into the rough. He could not control his spin at all. He could not control where the ball was going to land. The pin was in a back shelf. He hit it into the hill and left himself 50 feet. So I mean, I think, that rough was thick that week. I think 110 yards uphill from the rough, needing to get up and down versus 165 or 170 yards from a clean lie. Like, it's a decision. I agree with the decision that he made. But let's not pretend that this was just like an absolute no-brainer. No one in the history of the world would have taken the drop there.
But didn't he not really have a look from where he would have had to drop it?
He would have. The caddy said he did. The caddy said, we drop it here, we move those people, we can see the flag.
But he disagreed with that. Like the caddy kept saying that, but he looked at it and he's like, I don't think that leaves us with any better chance than no matter where I hit this ball lefty, I'm going to have a similar look. Regardless of what happens, we have to take the risk and try and win this tournament. I actually don't think many people would take that drop. It's not like it was a clear as day. Like, you're automatically going to have the best shot available regardless of what happens with that lefty swing.
Yeah, if he has to hit like a 20-yard hook, then I agree. I mean, not being there, it's hard to know what it actually would have looked like. But like, it's not just insane to think I'm going to give myself, if it was, that is the variable. If it wasn't a clean line, he didn't have a good look, then it's a no-brainer. But if he did have a clean line and a good look, like the caddy said, then it's a decision.
Because he goes like, well, how is that any different than me just hitting it right here, even if I hit it lefty, like right here? And the caddy was like, yeah, I know what you mean. Like,
he could whiff it. I mean, like, if you go lefty, there's just disaster. You can hit it right off the toe and it comes back, backwards. It's just big risk.
Perfect if you're dropping that. Like, you have to know that you're not giving that tournament away if you're not taking the chance.
Yeah, I think you're overselling the risk a little bit. Like, I think it's a little bit of a stretch to be like,
just give up a stroke.
Wow, what a heroic play to try to win it. And like, he totally disregarded his chances and didn't care about the money. It's like, I think that he was making a pretty level-headed, like, this is going to give me the best chance to win and also the best chance to like finish second. Like, I don't think it was a one or the other is kind of what I was thinking. And I think your original tweet that Kirk was probably making fun of the most was a little bit painting it like, wow, this guy is like abandoning all safety options and like going for it. I think he was like, yeah, I mean, I'm going to make contact here and it's going to advance into a position that's like most likely going to be like very much more likely going to be in a spot that's better than dropping and hitting three.
Well, that's what I don't know is if it would have been a better spot. But here's a little secret: being a little exaggerated on social media, big part of the game. Big part of
hyperbole is big part.
Right? Being hyperbolic was the word I was looking for, Trent. Being hyperbolic, big time for the content, for the engagement. So yeah, was I probably being a little bit too dramatic? Yes. Does Kirk like to kind of give me shit for that? 100%. We move on.
Think if he lefty hooks it around that tree up onto the green. Now we're talking real theatrics.
Now we're talking all-time shot. I mean,
it was an amazing punch out. I mean, watching him prepare for that gave me so much anxiety because he kept fidgeting over the ball, and like the way that he was practice swinging and his waggle was so just unathletic, and then the way he actually did it was super athletic and really, really cool. Hand-eye coordination off the charts. But the whole pre-process, like the way he put his hands on his knees and just like completely gave up all hope. I've never seen an athlete.
He looked dead.
He was just like, I'm fucked. Like, you can't do that, dude. You gotta fucking stay in the moment. It was anxiety, and this caddy was really trying to figure out, like, what do I tell this guy? This is a big moment. On the putt prior, on the 17th green, his caddy was really like dealing with standing behind him and seeing like if he had the right line. I mean, that was my heart was going for Mr. Shank with the craziest name in all of golf, by the way.
Oh yeah. He said afterwards about the tree and the blown. It stinks. I hit a really bad drive in the last hole. I towed it. Wish I could have lightly hit somebody and stayed where I had a chance to get to the green. Totally. Very funny that he said, I wish it would have lightly hit somebody. Like a very PC way to be like, I wish I would have smoked somebody with my drive. And
it's kind of surprising that it got all the way back there because people were all lining the fairway, obviously. I thought for sure it was going to hit somebody in the kneecap and go right down.
Yep, which I think he was alluding to. He probably felt the same way. He goes, but I didn't deserve it. I had a chance with the wedge shot that came up short, and then I had a chance with the putt, which surprisingly actually hit the pin and came close. That 18th green has delivered some dramatics, man. We've had Burns has had a bunch of big moments there. We had when Tiger almost won there. He came down to that hole and had a putt to get into a playoff when it was only like his third start in years. When Paul Casey ended up winning, I believe, that year. So that green and that whole amphitheater there at the Valspar has delivered some stuff, and almost did again with the ball hitting hole and the whole deal. But yeah, I enjoyed the back and forth between you and Kirk, and I do think that at the end of the day, you guys are, if you're going to just be like, yeah, I get a little bit hyperbolic, and then he likes to chirp back, I think that makes it a very understandable for everyone. So I also, Taylor Moore, we're going to talk to you about this, but 64 for 64 inside of 7 feet last week. That is fucking amazing.
Yeah, those greens are not easy either.
What's the percentage of like a 7-foot putt or a 6-foot putt, let's say?
Probably just over 50%.
Yeah, I think 50 is like right around 9 feet. God. So, I mean, that does include a lot of tap-ins, but it also probably includes a lot of 5 to 7 footers.
Right.
Yeah, at least probably out of those 64, 15 of those are from like 4 to 6 or 7 feet. Like that's,
and to be 100% from that is insane.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And you have to worry about the next one because it's it's not like us playing fucking 2-on-2 and you got like a 4-footer to win the hole. And if you miss it, it doesn't really matter. Your partner's in. Like he has to think on every putt. Like if this misses, I'm a little bit nervous about the next one. And he just goes 64 for 64.
And think about how crazy golf is. If he goes just 63 for 64, he like doesn't win. You know what I mean? Like it's that crazy. Where at the end of the day, if you go out of control good putting, and then you look at that stat and you're like, man, if I would have missed a couple of those over the week, if I went way above tour average, almost nearly perfect, I lose the tournament. I come in second. Like that is so hard for these guys to be able to accept. Like, how do you even think about that pre-tournament being like, I could go 63 for 64 and not win this thing? No. It's like, are you kidding me?
We've gone over it a lot. Every golf tournament is a tie. There's winners and there's losers, but it's a tie. If you the way that the strokes go, everyone is at the same place.
So from 4 feet, the PGA Tour average is 88%. From 5 feet, 77%. From 6 feet, 66%. From 7 feet, 58%. So that, like, the fact that even no matter how many he had, and like Dan said, maybe 40 of those are tap-ins or whatever, but that still leaves another, whatever it might be, 12 to 20-something putts that he had that are in that probably 4 to 7 foot range where we're looking at 88%, 77%, 66%, 58%. You're bound to miss a few of those. And if he misses a few of those, like he said, he's barely in the top 10.
And miss 4 of those, you're not even in the top 10.
Right. It's amazing. That's fucking amazing. That's
tour average. Like if he missed 4 of those.
Yeah, but it's why the more sustainable is ball striking because putting is binary like that, right? Like those putts could miss by 1 inch and it's a stroke, whereas if you're 1 inch off or a couple yards off of your approach play, it's still on the green, it's still a good shot. So there's like kind of a saying on tour where it's like you want to be good week to week with your ball striking, but the guy who gets a hot putter wins, and so that's the difference. Is like it's just a binary outcome.
Barstool Sportsbook, my 2 picks this week sucked. Adam Hadwin had a great start. I had him top 10 at like plus 275, I think. He was like tied for 7th or something after the first round, very similar to Keegan the week before. He shot like a trillion on Friday, missed the cut. And then my guy, Justin Suh, who made the cut, was looking pretty good. He shot like a million over the weekend and finished like 50th or something. So he missed. I will say Kirk, out of his 4 picks, he had one that hit, which was Tommy Fleetwood, top 10 at plus 275. That cashed. He did text me a few holes into Matthew Fitzpatrick's round on Thursday.
He made a 9. Like,
that's the worst bet in the history of golf. This guy stinks. And he was asking me what I knew that he didn't know. We were going back and forth on it. So we'll be back this week. I don't know how we're going to do the match play. We have to talk about that. We're going to talk about that right now in terms of gambling because it's so much different, the format. You have these groups of 4. Only one person advances from the groups to the top 16, and then they play, a March Madness style there all the way through. So we'll have to figure out how to do that gambling. The For the Cut bet will be on hiatus this week. It's got a vacation.
We're on ice right now, aren't we, though? Are we on a 3-game losing streak? Maybe 4?
3 or 4. It might be 4. I had my first L. I had Eric Cole missed the cut by 1. He was 2 over. The cut was 1 over. So I go to 8-1.
How did I pick Lingmerth? Was that this week or last week? I think I picked Lingmerth this week. How did he?
No, it was definitely this week.
Did he win? Did he make the cut?
I don't know.
I didn't get a single tweet about it. I'm sure he did. I'm sure he didn't even come
narcissistically
close.
looking at my own, and once I missed, I didn't really pay that much attention. I was pretty sad about it.
Looks like he made the cut.
So we've got this week, we've got the Dell Match Play event. Interestingly, Justin Thomas is skipping it and Justin Rose are skipping it. JT was asked about it, I believe, during the Players Championship because his kind of scheduling had come out. And he said, essentially, he doesn't like his chances at Austin Country Club. He said he's played there 6 times. He's absolutely sucked 5 times. He called his one decent year an outlier, and he said he really likes Valspar. And the Copperhead course believes he has a much better chance to win there. So he's going to play there and then skip the designated event at the match play, which is what he's doing. And then Justin Rose, I imagine somewhere similar on that mindset. I didn't really hear anything from him, but interesting to see those two not in the field. I love the clip going around this morning of the Stephen Ames that's become golf vernacular for when you just dust somebody at match play. Stephen Ames in 2006 had been asked about his chances in the week. He said anything could happen, especially where he's hitting the ball right now. Tiger went out and I believe was 8 up through 8, ended up winning 9 and 8. So he was 9 up with 8 holes to play. The match was over on the 10th green when he made a putt. I think he shot a front 9 27. And then when asked about it afterwards, if there was any extra motivation outside of just wanting to win a match, he said, absolutely. And then they alluded to the Stephen Ames quote, and Tiger said, I think he understands now. One of the more phenomenal Tiger performances in history.
It really is. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, for guys like him, like we learned this in The Last Dance with Jordan, where Jordan would make things up that would make him, score 35 points on a game that didn't matter. If you actually give them something, it's going to be 10 times worse. So to say that, to give him actual ammunition, he's going to fucking dust you.
It's really just those 4 words. It's really just especially where he's hitting it. Because if he had just said anything can happen, I think Tiger would respect that, right? Tiger, you don't want... Obviously, a guy's going to say, I have a chance. I'm a professional golfer. There's a World Golf Championship. If I'm here, I'm good enough to play. I think Tiger would respect that. It's when you add in the especially where he's hitting it. That's when you really poke the bear.
It's also like that's not, if outside of the golf world, like that's not the meanest thing you could say. But if you a golf fan, and it's really not, like, especially where he's hitting it. If anybody who doesn't watch golf hears that, he's like, oh, he's just giving an opinion on how that guy's playing. But in the golf world, he was basically like, this guy fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's very disrespectful.
I'm almost like on Stephen Ames' side of like, he was asked probably in an interview of like, what do you think? You have any chance? Like, yeah, but like he's not hitting it overly like impressive. So like I probably get a decent chance. And then Tiger just steamrolls him. And now every year on Monday of the match play, he is this verb where you just get Stephen Ames. It's over. You got fucking embarrassed. You got massacred. He basically like fucked your entire family. He declared prima nocta on you. And you're like, no, I just was asked like if I have any chance. And I said I thought I might have a chance.
Nope.
So it's very funny. You gotta love Tiger. And he did it in that he had like a white mock turtleneck thing that he was rocking at the time too. And he just was stone cold. All the clips from that front 9, like he made a putt, and then Stephen Ames, I saw on one hole when he went like 4 up through 4. Tiger made another birdie putt, and then Stephen Ames was doing the thing on the green. He'd already lost the hole where he was going to like practice the putt anyway. And the camera zooms out, and Tiger was like already marching to the tee box basically while he's over there putzing around. I was like, oh man. So yeah, all-time moment. But the match play, we talk about this every year. This is the last year of it, which is a damn shame because we always get hyped up for the Dell Match play. It's not going to be at Austin Country Club, and it's not even going to really be in existence until they kind of figure that out going forward. But Austin Country Club is maybe the most interesting, or one of the more interesting from a pure golf course perspective, courses to watch every year. The ball bounces into crazy spots. They hit like 450-yard drives on that par 5 on the back 9 that goes down towards the bridge. It's just a really interesting course to watch play because it's just pretty quirky and weird and wild. And you see like JT, I remember that one year got up and down from the gunch, the shit on the left on that par 3. So you just see some crazy fucking shit at Austin Country Club. So from just looking at the golf course, it's always really fun to watch him play this course.
Speaking of Justin Thomas, they said this on the broadcast yesterday, and they say this from time to time, and it blows me away every time I hear it. Justin Thomas has the most wins on PGA Tour since 2016-2017 season with 14 wins on tour. I mean, you think about all these guys, Rahm and fucking Scotty and all these huge names, Spieth, Rory, Tiger Woods. Justin Thomas has the most wins on the PGA Tour since 2016. It's 2023 right now. This guy has been doing the damn thing.
Yeah, I think he won 5 and 17, and he won a couple. He had a couple other years where he won multiple. Yeah, he's been a consistent winner. Last year he was
winner, the most.
Yeah, last year was kind of a down year. I think his only win was Southern Hills, and this year he actually hasn't been that great either. I don't think he's had a chance to win. But yeah, you're right. If you look at like the post Tiger, I guess since that and he's more than Rory in that time. That's crazy.
It's a stat you hear that you text your buddies right now in a group chat and be like, "Do you guys know who has the most wins on PGA Tour since 2016?" And no one will say Justin Thomas.
I would have said Rory for sure.
100%.
Yeah. Well, we had a conversation on this show a couple
Briggs,
years
are you
ago.
double checking that right now? Is that what you're doing? I'm seeing you looking at some stats.
I'm pretty blown away by that stat.
It's crazy.
I just wouldn't have been the top name.
I should have asked you guys. Fuck.
It might even have been DJ for me.
Yeah, because he had that stretch. Honestly, I mean, it makes sense now that you've said it. I don't know who else had, but I probably would have said Rory. It's like he won the Tour Championship. He's fucking, I don't know. I just would have said Rory McIlroy. And yeah, 14 wins
since 2016, 2017 season. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this guy, he's one of the best right now. And like, we don't really talk about Justin Thomas that often.
Well, we had a conversation a couple years ago. I think it was before Dan was on the show, where it was over the next 5 years, who's going to be the best golfer at the end of it, during it, all of it. And Justin Thomas's name was definitely thrown in there. Like, I think he's the type of guy where as the sample size gets bigger, he's going to be the guy who comes out on top. It's either him or Rory. For sure.
Is he at the point in his career where he has to like win a Masters? Like, has he gotten that yet, or he's still way too young to be able to say
he's
that?
20.
Right.
What is he? 28.
Right.
He's 29. I think he just needs to win a non-PGA championship. Would like a major that's either the Masters, the U.S. Open, or the Open Championship. I think would do big things for his legacy. Which is not to disrespect the PGA, but he's won 2 PGAs
too.
and a Players. Yeah, but I'm saying let's get a U.S. Open. Let's get a Masters.
But we're all agreeing we're not saying that yet. I said he doesn't need to win one yet.
No.
Like he's not.
No, those two. As much as people shit on the PGA, which we do as well sometimes, like those count. They definitely count.
What's the age?
What's
the age you get to like
ago,
to like put the cherry on top of your career, where you're like, this guy needs one more? Is it like 35? Is it 36 years old?
Yeah.
Is it like Adam Scott right now with like another fucking major at the top of his like career right now?
It's pretty nuts to think. What was Phil, like 33 or 34 before he won his first major?
That's
34.
crazy.
Right. And DJ was old too. DJ didn't get one for a long time, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
true.
DJ
He got that US
2016.
Open, which I fucking blew in the dozen. God, I'm still rattled about that.
Yeah, I think once you get to 40, it's less of a like needs to and more of like I hope, like if there's any chance, I hope. But I think it's like those between 35 and 40, I think is when it's like, all right, like
the 2 PGAs buy you time. Like clearly you'd rather be Justin Thomas than Ricky Fowler. Like Ricky Fowler, it's like it's just not happening. It hasn't happened. When is it going to happen? With JT, you're kind of like he's already got these 2. Now he does need a U.S. Open or a Masters or an Open Championship, but he's got time.
I feel like with DJ a couple years ago, before he won the second Masters, it was like he was in that 35 to 40 range, I think, and he kind of needed that, or maybe he was 34, 33, but he needed that second major to one major. You're not really an all time great, you can't be, but 2 is obviously double 1.
Do you with the resurgence of Slick Rick?
Hold on.
You got does that man check out?
Yeah.
You check. Do you have the same answer?
I watched
calculation
Danny be like,
app.
"This is going to be something that I say, and I'm going to say
He
it
laughed
now."
at- he
and it
laughed
was
as he
like
was saying it.
2 is double 1.
1
With the
plus
resurgence of
1.
Ricky Fowler's game, would you guys say that
2.
he's going to win a major in his career or no?
Yes. It can be stressful to describe the kind of haircut that you want. Even if you feel like you got it across, it's hard to know if your stylist actually understands you. Too often, hair care results in a hair scare. Look at that little ad copy there. Hair care results in a hair scare. You don't want that. I don't feel like a hair scare is a good thing.
No, it's not. I've got the wedding coming up. I'm trying to decide on how I want my hair. So I'm actually letting like the top just get as crazy as possible. And I have to go to Sport Clips and make sure that they just trim up the sides because I don't want it to look ridiculous when I'm wearing a hat. So I'm like trying to just go short on the side.
You're going for a hide and tight, little Euro cut.
But that has nothing to do with
trying to
how I'm
play
going
in
to do
the
my
Premier
hair.
League, Premier League here.
No, I'm trying to just give sport clips the day before, room to work with. You got to give them something. You got to give them a canvas.
Give them a bunch of clay, you got
to give them a canvas. So it's like at the end you can't walk in with it already buzzed to it too. You got to be like, oh, I got to get my hands on this thing. So that's why I'm doing that right now. And I'm only trusting sport clips for the pre cleanups right now. So they're the ones I'm going to.
You could, well, fortunately, the stylists at Sport Clips Haircuts speak the language of hair. You could say that they're fluent in fades, literate in long locks, and just all around clippers, confident. Doesn't matter if your hair is balding, billowing. Sport Clips stylists are black belts in cutting men's hair. They've been specially trained to do it. These pros are artists, and you are the canvas. That's actually in the ad copy. This is the canvas.
Wow.
Next time you need a cut, come to Sport Clips. I'm the only one that has the ad copy. So Frankie
wild.
just was right in with Sport Clips.
Serendipity.
What a synergy. What a synergy. Next time you need a cut, come to Sport Clips and get a head-turning haircut from the pros in men's hair. I think Ricky Fowler is going to win a major championship. I think he's going to win the Masters. I just think not this year necessarily, but at some point, because I think he's too handsome and clean to not have put on that green jacket. Like, he would look great in that thing. Hopefully he doesn't do it with one of his preposterous orange outfits. Maybe he does it with a subtle one where he mostly wears the white with some orange trim or something. But I think he would look too good in that green jacket. Him and that Masters Champions dinner photo every year would look great. So I just see him up there with a green jacket on. I really do.
Yeah, he finished second before, I think, right? And he finished solo second when
he finished
Patrick
second
Reed
all of them,
won.
didn't he?
I think, yeah, he finished top 5 in all 4. He's been
Top
great
5.
in the majors. He's been great in the majors.
Plus that
Trent, what do you
awesome,
think?
I know you were asking that for me to answer. I'll believe it when I see it.
I think a betting man. I think as a betting man, I think you're in the better position. I think it's probably plus money, pretty high for him to win a major in his career, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, dude.
In his career,
for
I'm
everybody
saying.
though.
It's pretty wild to think in 2014, I think it was, when he finished top 5 in all 4 majors.
Yeah,
It was 9 years ago.
I was going to say it was a long time ago.
But at this point,
He still
it
looks
would be
young, but he
surprising for him to win one rather than his career continue to be the way it has been since he first came on PGA Tour,
Yes,
right? Like, it would be surprising
I
at
think it
this
would
point
be.
for Ricky Fowler to win a major. It's not like in the cards for him to do it. It would be like oh shit, he did it.
Right.
Yes.
I think he's going to win again on the PGA Tour. I think he might win this year. He's playing very well, but obviously that's a very different proposition.
I would love to see him
think
win. That'd be great for the game of golf. My God.
Oh, yeah.
If someone
Sorry,
went into
Trent.
one of those, a cryo chamber or whatever they call it, if somebody went into one of those for 5 years and they came out and you said, dude, Ricky Fowler won the Masters, I think they'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way.
Right.
No
It's a
way. That's great.
Yeah, it's the cryo
That's
test.
great.
I like that.
Yeah.
Xander's
cryo
getting
test.
in there too, which is just there's the whole little pool of guys that like you just want to win every single year. Xander's probably the number one. He's going to win the Masters, like guy every single year. Every single year, he looks like the best guy to pick on the Barstool Sports book. It's just like, is that ever going to happen?
Like he's gonna. He seems like he's just going to run into one at some point. He's going to run into a major
every single
No, I know,
year.
but
it's got to be Xander. He's just gonna laugh about it, and it's gonna happen. You're just like, we act like it's just gonna fall on his lap. It's just not. It just might never happen. It just might never happen.
How old is he?
Xander? Ooh, let me guess.
Same age as sorry.
Well,
JT
30?
probably.
He's probably turned 30, right?
Yeah, they're all in that same high school class, so he's either
Right.
29 or 30.
God, that
Xander had the reason I told you guys pre-show, I think. I don't know if I said it on the show, but I put money on Max Homa to win the Masters this year. I did it last night. And the reason is because we were going over with one of my buddies. We were going over the top 10 in the world and how pretty much all of them at this point have had good showings at the Masters. Like literally all of them. It's just a course that like the best top players play well there. The best players win a lot there. From Jack Nicklaus has won 6 times. Tiger Woods has won there 5 times. Like, it's no coincidence that the best players that have racked up the most majors have won the most times at this course. It just like the best players seem to play well there. And Max Homa has now vaulted himself into, I think he's 6th in the world. So I was going through being like, all the top players have all like played well there. He hasn't quite yet, but now he's one of the top players. So he should play well there, which is why I started to get into it. And we were going back through a lot of these guys. And dude, Xander had 2 out of 3 years in a row where he almost or very easily could have won the Masters. He had in 2019, he had the solo lead after his heroics through the middle stretch of the back nine, and then he kind of blew it coming over the last couple holes, finished tied for second. And then 2021, remember, he got tied for the lead, I think, with Hideki, and then hit that ball in the water on 16? Is that what he hit?
I think it was 16, yeah.
16, and you're like, what the fuck? So he has been right there. Last year he was, I think you're right, Frankie, he was like the perennial, the go-to pick to anybody that you talk to, and he missed the cut last year at the Masters. You never fucking know. But he does feel like a guy too. Him and Ricky, I kind of almost put them in the same bucket as I just see them winning the Masters. I don't know why.
I'm sure this is a reputation that Max is trying to shed a little bit as like the internet guy, but he's like so close to the internet, it would be wild to see him in a green jacket.
Yeah, I feel like we would get some access or some videos that are not authorized. You know what I mean? Like, I think he would show a little too much of Augusta.
All these other guys like Xander and Ricky and everybody who's won it, you're like, oh, I can see that. But with him, and I want him to do it badly, especially now that Riggs has money on it. But like, it'd be such a mind fuck to see Max Homa with the green jacket.
It'd be crazy to see him in the Butler cabin and the awkward stuff with Nance and hopefully and the whole thing and the Augusta green, and then like 4 hours later he's roasting somebody's swing on Twitter.
Oh
That'd be like, that's very bizarre to think about. I agree with you. So it's not making me feel better about my bet, but I just think he played so well at the President's Cup. He played very well at the Players, finished tied for sixth, I believe, as a guy that has been like winning a bunch in the last 3 or 4 years, especially the last couple of years, including a big event for him, but hadn't quite brought it in the biggest events, the majors in particular. I think if you look at the President's Cup, which essentially is on that level of like a huge event for him in the moment, how much it meant to him, he played phenomenal. And then you look at the Players Championship, which are our only real sort of samples in the last 8 months or whatever it's been. I like his chances going in. I think he's going to play well at Augusta.
If Max does do it, that will be the internet's first green jacket, and we all will have to rejoice. As a creature of the internet, I'm looking at three other creatures of the internet here as well. If he wins it, that's the internet's first green jacket.
It might be our new tagline for Foreplay, creatures of the internet.
That's what we are, man.
We are that.
You know, you come up in different ways. You come up on TV, you come up on the radio, you come up through the newspaper, you come up through however.
You find your way to the internet.
I was thinking about that the other day. I
Creatures.
was on Twitter and we were just talking about something stupid, or everyone was like, something was going viral and all of Barstool was like getting in on it. And I was thinking about all these other like YouTube brands now, all these golf brands. There's like the Good Goods and all these guys. They're so just like on YouTube and that's their world, and they're on Instagram and TikTok. But like our brand has been like grown on this disgusting landscape of Twitter. Like we've like the stuff that we've tweeted about and talked about and argued about is just always like, that's how we came up. And it's just such a cutthroat, disgusting, dirty, horrific, scary place to grow up, as opposed to like everything else is so like colors and thumbnails and Instagram and TikTok and algorithms. And we were just like, if you don't think Wayne Gretzky could have played in today's fucking NHL, you can go lick my asshole. And everyone's like, I'm going to come to Borelli's and shit down your throat. And it's like, it's real fucking fighting. And like Dave tweeting out like, if Frankie Borelli's not at the office in the next 4 minutes, he's fired. And like me on the fucking train being like, I can't get there. We're locked in the fucking tunnel.
I can't get this train up.
I'd call people. Like that was on Twitter, dude. That's where we lived. Like hearts racing, cancer growing in our stomach. That's where we fucking lived, bro. And no one's ever going to take that away from us. I don't give a fuck what our thumbnails look like. It's because we grew up in a fucking mud. Like we had a radio show that I used to open up the song with the Mud song. Mud, mud, I love mud. I absolutely, positively wild about mud. You can't go around it. You have to jump in it. Super duper, super whatever. The end of the song's amazing. But that's what we fucking grew up in.
I think about that with Dave a lot. Like he's now like he's been the head of this company forever, but he does these interviews and they're at Wall Street and they're hitting the bell and I look at him and I'm like, do you know what that, like, he's the internet, dude. He is
the internet.
Right. He is like, he's gone through it all. We've watched him go through it all, and we're similar. Like you get hired by that and you sort of go through the same things. And a lot of it is on Twitter, where I've forgotten the wars that we've been in on Twitter. We've been through so many of them. It's no other brand really came up that way.
It's just like, that's where our, like, you could watch every step we've taken, it's still in the mud back there in the trenches. Like, you know, they've preserved the battlefield, and you can walk there and you can buy tickets and you can walk around and see all the shells on the ground, and you have to step over the landmines that are still in there. That's just where we've gone. It hasn't been easy, bro. It hasn't. We weren't handed an algorithm. We had to fucking fight tooth and nail to survive every day. I just think that people don't realize how many years of fucking bullshit on Twitter you had to deal with, and now Twitter's just Twitter's not even a real thing anymore, which is unfortunate, but it still is for like the moment. But like, it's just a fart in the wind to tweet. You know what I mean? YouTube and TikTok's like that's what you get the money on. That's the real world, I feel like. And Twitter's like,
for my world, it's a little different because, like, you know, the Schefters and the Woj, like those guys are big on Twitter. But you're totally right. Like, and that's been a big difference and emphasis when I came to Barstool was like tweets, like written word. It's just like that doesn't really put money in our pockets. It's good for the brand. It's good for reputation. But it's you're right. It's the social videos and the videos on YouTube.
And that's Twitter, unfortunate, is my point. That sucks because like that shouldn't be. I feel like Twitter's where you actually see who people are. You know,
Twitter's value is Twitter's value, and it's not in what TikTok has and Instagram and all those, but its value is I can tell if someone's funny or not through Twitter. I know,
right?
Like that, you can't hide on there. You can't. TikTok's got all these, you know, all this flashing and all these. You can put it into a different like framework where it's like, oh, that's a funny video. Twitter, you are very exposed one way or the other. You people see who you are on Twitter,
and they could see you as a psychopath. I mean, if you follow me on a West Coast trip from 10 o'clock till 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm going fucking bananas about the Islanders. If you follow Trent on a Monday night, he's talking about roses and double dates and luggage. It's just like you don't see that stuff in like a 2-hour video on you. You know what I mean? You don't see that in every other form of social media. You can really see who the people are. You can actually see who those people are on Twitter. And I just wish that Twitter meant more. I wish that like that actually put asses in the seats as opposed to just being like, oh, if you want to see their personality, that's where it is.
Yeah. I think it's still kind of there.
I guess Elon's trying to do it, but it's just never going to work.
He's turning it into TikTok. That's
right,
like the way
exactly.
to do it. Which kind of, and it doesn't make it the same as
it's getting weird now. I got a notification the other day that like I had to take all the security off of my Twitter unless I signed up for Twitter Blue. They're like, you no longer have security on your account. We're taking away like 2 authentication factor, whatever. Unless you pay $7 a month. I'm like, that's illegal. You can't do this. Is crazy. What happened to Twitter? Bots,
man. The whole thing's just bots, pretty much, is what happened.
And Instagram bots are out of control. When are they gonna isn't it so easy to just get rid of them? Shouldn't it we have facial scanners on our phones. Shouldn't it just be like you have to scan your face in to just be a real person?
Right, because when you see a fake person comment, you can tell right away. The name is
I got $5,000 for my juicy pussy. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about?
The name is like 047, and then the picture is just a smoke show woman with 10 followers.
It's like, don't click on my account if you want to get naughty today. It's just like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. Also, like, to get into our phone, we have to have some sort of security system to make sure that we're a real person. Why can't that then just unlock you having an account on Instagram? It should be as simple as that. And I don't care about.
I would guess that technology is good enough that they can just fake, like they can just trick the system, right? Like they do that with the bots. Like that's pretty much what happened with the Taylor Swift tickets, which is like the bots
did them with the votes, man.
They were so good that they got in there that they literally were able to trick like the human authentication system, and all the bots took over and drove all the prices up, and it ruined like the Taylor Swift ticket situation. So I just think they're probably good enough to create accounts.
I've actually watched the bots get more human like in real time, because I'm sure you guys get these DMs too, where originally you would get DMs and it would say, you know, hey, luggage guy Trent, because that's my Instagram name or whatever. And then they would be like, if you pay $5,000, I can get you 1 million followers or whatever. Yeah. But now it's starting to get more like, hey, Trent, I got a question. And it's like, oh, maybe this is like a stoolie asking about something. And it ends up being the same thing, but it gets more personable each time. And then it's just like, hey, Trent. And then I feel like it picks up on trends of things that I'm posting and tries to relate it to that. So it's getting to a point where the bots are getting much, much better, which is not a good thing.
Who's in charge of the bots? Who is in charge of defeating them? Do we have like a bot team that like goes after these people? The world, I'm saying. Like, is the world caring about these things?
Well, I think there's got to be a side of it they would never admit this, where users are users. So it looks like, this is how many users, especially Twitter, maybe not so much anymore with Elon, but, oh, look, our user base is growing this much over each quarter. They're not saying how many of those are bots, but it looks good on a quarterly sheet of this is how many new users there are on our platform.
I think that's what Elon was trying to hold up Twitter over, was the bot situation, where he's like, how many of your users are real and how many of them are bots? And they were like, we don't know. And then he ended up just having to buy it anyway. So I don't know that, to Trent's point, I don't know that anybody is really that works on that side of it is that incentivized to have the bots go away, because then users go away and they want to act like their users are really high so that their price goes up so that they all make more money, I think.
Right.
Fucking Mark Zuckerberg never thought this was going to happen when he was writing shit on his Harvard dorm room window. Boss.
Zuckerberg's laying people off. He wrote a letter last week.
You're muted.
Dan, I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I was saying, they're in trouble. Meta's in trouble. I don't think that Metaverse thing was the dumbest risk they could have possibly take. The dumbest initiative that is what happens when you let a nerd decide how humans are going to socialize.
But at some
in the future.
point, someone has to take that risk to get the world to that point, right?
But do we want to get to that point? Do people want to get to that point?
I don't know. I don't know if that's the right answer, but I know that if the world was to get to the point where they were going to have virtual meetings and all of this stuff was going to be autonomous and you were going to be able to go to the beach with your buddy, even though you're sitting in your fucking computer room. If we wanted to get the world to that point, somebody in Zuckerberg's position with all the money at his disposal, with all the technology, would have had to be like, we're going all in on this. And then without that, Frankie, we don't get there. We don't get there.
I'm with Frankie. I think it's a little ridiculous to be like, I'm going to point to Mark Zuckerberg and be like, what a dumb call. It's like, dude, that guy has made a lot of calls, and like, somebody's got to make those bold decisions to get to the point where we are, and he's going for it, and he made more money than God going for it, and eventually it's going to like work out for him.
I'm not saying that he's an idiot, obviously. I don't think that the metaverse, that them really buying in as the future of the company is going to pay off in the near term, is all I'm saying.
I mean this. I asked this question in the most objective terms possible. How smart is Mark Zuckerberg? Like, you look at a guy like Elon, right? And he's just, I've talked a lot of shit about him over the years, but it's pretty clear that like his brain works in a different way and his IQ is like 400. But Zuckerberg, he was a guy at Harvard who just created this thing and it took off. Now you could argue that that idea is incredibly smart, and it's a butterfly effect of all the things that happen from there. But then to have the same guy continuing to make decisions, it's his company, he's more than in a position to do that, but like, how smart is he really?
I think he's a brilliant coder, and I think in that world, I think that's like what he does. The problem with him, in my opinion, is that he's not like he doesn't have like realistic values like a regular person. He's not like, he's a robot, and he's always proved to be a robot when it comes to like the way he puts on sunscreen on his face. And
that makes me think he's
the way
really
he speaks,
smart.
the way
he's
he
definitely
speaks.
Smart. There's no denying he's smart. I'm saying like he doesn't think I think Elon thinks a little bit more like a rational person, like an actual human being. The way he like portrays his thoughts on Twitter, you're like, oh, that's like a normal guy.
He has a sense of humor
with $1 billion, billions and billions of dollars. I think Mark Zuckerberg is like the prototypical nerd that thinks like he's just the smartest guy in the room. He probably is, but he's going to do things the way that he thinks the world needs to be efficient and like all that stuff. Like, that's just different than like, this would be cool. I think he's thinking like, this is the future of the world.
I'm just always curious, people who rise to those positions, and it's in any industry, like entertainment, tech, whatever you want to say, like how are we sure that the people in these positions are the right guys?
Oh, you don't. They just happen to be there.
Right. I'm fascinated by that.
It's a meritocracy, right? It's like they earned, they like created, they got there.
They're the ones.
My only point to you, Dan, was that I just think it's a little bit like it's lazy and obvious to be like, oh, Meta's not going to work out in the short term. Well, no shit. They just laid off 10,000 employees. It's like the guy, well, I guess my point is to look at it more on a macro scale. It's like the guy's made incredibly bold, aggressive choices that have worked out for 20 years and gotten Facebook to be one of the most valuable things in the world. That like, I think it's a little, again, just short-sighted to be like, what an idiotic decision. It's like, well, he's going to regroup. He's going to lay off 10,000 people, whatever. And he's going to like condense things and then try again. And clearly him trying again has worked out over time. And in order for people to like, as cliche as it is, like change the world, you got to make pretty fucking crazy, bold decisions that are going to lead you to sometimes like throwing a brick against a window that's an unbreakable window and it breaks. And everybody makes fun of you on the internet. And guess what? You just keep chugging along to the point where a couple years later, Elon Musk, obviously in this situation, became like the richest person in the world, was able to buy Twitter for however 40-something billion dollars for fun. It's like, that's just kind of what it takes, I think.
I want to be clear. I wasn't saying Mark Zuckerberg is stupid in any way. I'm just fascinated by the intelligence of the people who get in those positions and how you, like, it wasn't like we picked Mark Zuckerberg from a young age and was like, that's a phenom. He was like, I want to create this weird college network of, good looking women. And like, now we create this big thing. So it's fascinating to me how those people, when they get in those positions, I guess.
I always think about when you go back in time and they always like pictured the future. Whoever like drew that picture, whenever like it started to form, like, oh, the future is going to have robots and they're going to look like people and they're going to do our jobs and they're going to have flying cars and we're going to have all these things. Like whoever started to paint that picture, we've just been slowly moving towards that as if that was the goal. You know what I mean? Have you ever thought about it that way, where it's like they just said what they thought the future was going to be, and it feels like we've always just moved towards trying to achieve that. They could have essentially said anything. Like, I wonder if in the 1800s or whatever, or the 1200s, whenever these people were like deciding on what they thought, I don't know the numbers, but whenever they decided on what they thought the world was going to happen, if they said like bananas were going to take over the planet, would we have then like put all of our money and resources into trying to put like brains inside bananas and putting arms on them, and like they would be, you know what I mean? Like no matter what they said, would we have tried to accomplish it?
I think there's probably,
you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Slightly, like whatever. Yes, I do. Like we're just moving towards like what they said.
Like if one guy was like, I want applesauce to come out of the water, out of the fountains.
And if
like,
that would have just caught on, like Elon would have been like, we got to get this applesauce out of these fountains like today.
No, I think there's probably part of what a conversation, by the way. I think there's probably part of it. Part of
every on the Mean Girls podcast.
Oh yeah, true. Watch out for these clips, Alex. Be very gentle.
Do not put these out there.
No, but I'm sure there's a part of the human brain
out there. These are that we need numbies, dude. These are perfect.
True.
And there's probably a part of the human brain that everybody shares to a degree that's like, we're going to keep advancing in this way.
Right. Yeah. The reason it works is because we think it's just like, that's what you have to do.
Right.
I mean, a few weeks ago, we talked about this AI bot that told the reporter to like leave his wife and family. So it's like there's things are moving. True.
You know what's actually coming out tomorrow night? I forgot to tell you guys this before.
What's that?
Fixing Frankie, episode 3, Trevor Immelman, putting lessons.
Masters winner.
Wednesday night. We're talking about the fucking Masters coming up. This is Trevor Immelman. He is a Masters winner. He is one of our good friends. You have to be able to putt really well at Augusta National to win the Masters. So I went down to Florida, to Orlando. Didn't go to Disney, unfortunately, but we went to Orlando and we met with Trevor. I've gotten fixed, quote unquote, in all different sorts of ways. Episode 1 was with Dr. Brett McCabe. We learned a process, slowing myself down, playing within myself, speaking out loud, finding the right pre-shot routine. Episode 2, we had Scott Fawcett, that lunatic, all about target golf and where to aim and why are you giving up certain locations on the golf course that just because people say this is the location, you really should be looking at this one because it makes the most sense. Picking the right clubs, looking at how to read greens, all of that stuff. So that really helped me make my game better throughout the year. And hopefully on YouTube, you guys have seen the year of better golf I've been playing compared to last year, where I was just like hitting it all over the place, could barely break 90 on a big video. Now it's like, let's fucking go. We're actually playing really good golf. Now, how do I get to that next step? It's all short game and putting. We fixed my chipping. I have confidence, but putting has just been a shit show. I'm 3-putting. I can never make a putt in a scramble. I asked Trevor, how do I approach every single putt to try and make it? Like, I want to actually try and make putts. And if I'm not making putts, how do I just roll it right behind the hole? And like you always hear, like, get it within that 2-foot radius. And Trevor figured out a system for me, making every single putt straight, finding that line, how to read it, how he reads it, how he holds the putter, how he grips it, what he's thinking as he's reading a green. It's fucking really interesting stuff. It's not going to blow you away visually. We didn't get like all these different angles and drones and all this stuff. It's legitimately just, how does Trevor Immelman putt? How does he assess my putting? And how do we make it better? I've gone with that mindset into all 3 episodes of like how do we just get better if you watch this video? And I really genuinely think that anyone watching this is going to get so much better at putting, and you're going to have a practice system to then get better. It's all about practice. You have to practice, but you have to have the right system. So that's tonight. What are we doing? 7 p.m.
Wednesday?
Is that right, Alex Bush?
Tuesday.
Sorry, Tuesday. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m.
Yeah, we can do 7. We were thinking 6, but I know you like it later because last week
I do like 7
8,
p.m.
So
it's just clean.
Let's,
7
yeah,
p.m.
let's
reminds
do
me of a
7.
hockey game.
Yeah.
7 p.m. reminds me of like a hockey game or a baseball game. 6 p.m. is not real time. No, there's a reason no event starts at 6 p.m. because it's just a weird time in the world.
Agreed.
7 p.m. is when we're doing it. That's tomorrow night. Send it to your friends. Let's get involved. We're gonna get in the chat. I'll be there answering any questions you have. That's on our YouTube page tomorrow. But yeah, Trevor Immelman, fucking superstar.
The golf capital of the world, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, plays host to more than 3 million rounds per year, and you should be part of that number. Caledonia Golf and Fish Club and True Blue Golf Club are Myrtle Beach's highest-ranked golf courses. Look, those 2 tracks, which we've been to, we played, we put out video, we did Barstool Classic, True Blue. Those 2 tracks, Mike Strantz, are as good a golf courses as I've seen anywhere in my life.
Dude, Caledonia,
the moss trees. Oh.
We didn't play Caledonia when we took our trip, did we?
No.
Oh, dude. So we went down there for the Barstool Classic, and it was a True Blue, and then we went and shot some things at Caledonia. I want to make a trip down there to play Caledonia because that place is unreal.
It's like the most beautiful course you've seen. And
seriously,
you can't believe it's Mike Strantz that was like more reserved. So it's like a little bit more classic style golf course with just the craziest bunkers you've ever seen in your entire life. Like it's not quirky. It's not like different, but like it's a beautiful golf course, man. Crazy amount of azaleas.
Plus on-site lodging, so you're going to book a trip for you and your buddies, maybe your significant other, maybe a family trip. They got all kinds of different options because Myrtle Beach obviously has everything that you could possibly imagine. On-site lodging options featuring golf course condos and villas at Caledonia and True Blue. Planning a trip is a breeze when you visit CaledoniaGolfVacations.com. After your round at True Blue in Caledonia, grab a beer with your buddies, hang out on the back decks, and maybe make a wager or 2 on the groups that are finishing up their rounds behind you. Visit CaledoniaGolfVacations.com to book your tee times, plan a stay, and play package, and get more information about 2 of America's top 100 golf courses. Visit CaledoniaGolfVacations.com. What I was looking at earlier, Frankie, when you were talking about the Justin Thomas thing, was I was actually scouring the front of the Golf Channel website, and on the right they always have their top 10 stories, and I was scrolling, I was reading through them to see, out of curiosity, if any of them were about LIV.
I was going to ask you guys,
and not a single one is. The only one that is potentially, it says Sergio responds to Freddie, will enjoy dinner, which isn't even really about LIV. It's obviously about the Masters dinner chatter that's been going on for the Champions dinner. So I found that incredibly curious that Golf Channel, which, you know, if you go to like, I've noticed like Golf Digest account and Dan's former employer, like their Instagram account, their Twitter account, they just post LIV stuff like it's normal, which I think I would kind of guess Golf Channel would be doing as well. So I was a little bit surprised, to be honest with you, to see like not a single one of their things says, you know, Danny Lee wins in 4-way playoff to win LIV Golf Tucson and win $4.5 million, whatever the hell he won. Like it's nowhere to be found on there.
Did you guys watch any of it at all?
No.
Yeah, so I watched it. You know, I really don't hate watching it, and I think people have the wrong idea and think, oh, I'm anti-LIV. Just because I don't think it's going to succeed commercially does not mean I'm anti-LIV. But I will say I think it's in a really bad spot commercially because the interest seems to be waning. They're not going to have new signings, and the team. It's all about the team. That's the whole model, and the team format just feels like a weird sideshow in the background. And it hasn't been close this time. It wasn't close last time. There's no fans of these teams right now. There's no high flyers fans. And so if you guys, you should read Alan Shipnuck's article. I retweeted it. He went to the LIV event and he talked to guys who were in a player meeting who were talking about it. They're talking about moving a lot of the money to the team competition. So where the team competition has more money than the individual, I mean, they have to add buzz to these team things somehow. And they're really trying to make golf into a team sport. And I just don't think that that's what these guys signed up for. And I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, it just has no juice. It's got no juice for me right now. It had juice last year. I was really into it. I was like, I liked all the storylines. I liked that people on both sides were getting butthurt. I enjoyed watching people squirm on Twitter and turn it into a political fucking fiasco. And now it's just fucking nothing to me. Like there's no storylines. I really don't care if anyone gets into a 4-way playoff unless it's like the golfers that I really like. I mean, that's the only reason I'm going to watch golf is to watch golfers I like. I'm only a fan of a couple guys on tour, and that's like really what we all do as sport fans. So if you're going to tell me Danny Lee like hit a nice putt, I'm like, that's like a regular day on the PGA Tour for me where I'm like, all right, cool. Like Taylor Moore winning was not, I wasn't popping champagne for Taylor Moore and he's on the show. I'll tell him that. Like, that's just like, you need to be a big name for me to care about it. Just like, that's the way the world works. You have to be a big name for that to work. And they don't have that for me right now. I don't care about Brooks Koepka. I don't care about fucking Phil Mickelson right now. It's just like, they've just lost the juice. Last year I did. Last year they had it, man. They fucking had a lot of momentum last year. And now it's just like, I don't give a fuck.
I thought Dan had a really good point in your tweet about the juice, which was that the LIV Golf Tucson event yesterday, playoff between Louis Oosthuizen, Danny Lee, Brennan Steele, and Carlos Ortiz in Tucson. Biggest names were not a factor. In only a 48-man field, Dustin Johnson finished tied for 13th, Reed T18, Cam Smith T24, Koepka T24, Answer T24, Phil T30, Bryson T44th in a 48-man field. DJ Bryson, Koepka, Phil, Reed, Answer have not finished inside the top 10 in 2 events yet this year. And that kills the juice. Like you need, like when DJ made that putt in the playoff last year, there was some juice around that. That clip got some numbies, as we say in the business, around Twitter. People were talking about it. There's just really no juice when you get Danny Lee making a putt to win. And that obviously kills them. And yeah, I think that there's almost more juice now about chatter on like, are people going to try to get back on the PGA Tour? And like, there's some Brooks Koepka chatter, and there's some rumors going around about, can people find a pathway to get back to the PGA Tour if they want to? Is the tour going to offer some kind of immunity, one-time thing? Are they never going to offer anything like that? What's it going to look like? And I've had a lot of conversations with people in the last few weeks where, we've spoken a lot about the Reeds and the Brysons and the Sergios, guys that have always sort of been a bit controversial and had issues with the tour and issues with other people, are the guys that are on LIV now. And those people that are always complaining or always kind of voicing their opinion about their, unhappiness with certain things, they're never pleased and never happy. And now we're getting into where they're a year into their LIV thing. Those types of people always find something to complain about. They're going to start bitching. Things are going to start to leak and get out where they're not perfectly happy with everything LIV. And that's not a function of shitting on LIV at all. That's a function of human nature and people that are now a year into something. They're not going to just love every single aspect of everything that they're now doing on LIV. And those negative feelings are going to start to emerge. We're going to start to hear comments or interviews or whatever. And it's going to be quite interesting to see how all that stuff goes public.
When you're complaining about stuff, like if you're a Patrick Reed and a Bryson and you're complaining your whole entire career about things, is the basis of why they were complaining because they felt like they were being cheated out of winning a tournament and then making money and being successful, where now they just get guaranteed money and all of those cares and complaining goes out the window? You don't think so?
No, because a guy like Patrick Reed, I mean, he got kicked off his college golf team because he's got issues. He's accused of cheating and stealing stuff. Then he gets on the PGA Tour. He gets accused of cheating and stealing stuff. He has his wife tweeting out stuff about how they're bitching about they get bad seats from the PGA Tour. And then he starts bitching about the PGA Tour doesn't provide them enough money. And then it's those types of people, in my opinion, they always find something to complain about. Yeah. They are never just perfectly happy.
Is there a chance that the PGA Tour just completely shuts the door on them and just moves on without them? Because the sobering thing for LIV guys is that the tour is just moving on. Like, it just keeps rolling. Stars keep emerging. There's still enough huge names. There's so many big names still that you don't necessarily need these guys who are going to come back and maybe bitch or just want to come back at all. Like, is there a chance that the PGA Tour is just like, no, you guys made a choice and we're moving?
I don't think that they would ever do a lifetime ban. I think that would also it would be another legal headache. But I don't think it's good for anybody. I don't think it's in the best interest of the PGA Tour. I think it would be an unbelievable gesture if there's got to be some sort of penalty, but it would be a victory for them. It would be, these guys have to come back with their tail between their legs and basically say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. And as a fan, I want those guys back. 100. If those guys want to go back to the PGA Tour, I don't see anyone who'd be like, oh, Dustin Johnson, unforgivable what he did. Don't let him play the tour any longer. We want the Dustins, we want Brooks, we want those guys back if they want to be back. Bryson.
I disagree. I do not think there's going to be a pathway back. I think those guys are out. And here's why, is because I think that there's one thing that you'll never be able to get over, which is that there are many guys, Rory McIlroy, Will Zalatoris, his numbers going around, Justin Thomas, Max Homa. There are guys, Colin Morikawa, that turned down tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hideki turned down $300 million.
Turned down that much money to go to LIV. Those guys now are on the PGA Tour, playing on the PGA Tour. If these guys, Brooks Koepka or anybody else, now or within a year or within 2 years from now, come back to the PGA Tour, every one of those guys will be eternally fucking rattled because they are now in the same exact position that Brooks Koepka's in, Dustin Johnson's in, except those guys got to just take $100 or $200 million and these other guys didn't. And that forever are the guys that make up the PGA Tour, the guys that are literally holding meetings in the PGA Tour, that run the membership of the PGA Tour, will never let that happen, in my opinion.
I think they'll be upset about it. And, we asked Max Homa this question at the Players, and he said that. He's like, the petty side of me will want to hold that grudge, but the realistic side of me thinks it's better if everybody comes back. And it's also, there is a definite feeling on tour. Yes, those guys, there's definitely some animosity toward the guys who took the money if they try to come back. But there's also a lot of guys who are like, Phil was right. We're playing for a lot more money now because this happened. They didn't have a problem when they went the first place. It was when they came back and tried to sue the tour. I just don't think a lifetime ban is. You think they bear the Dustin Johnson if he comes after the season and says, I made a mistake, I want to come back. You think they say, tough shit, DJ, you're done?
Yes. I don't think they say you're just back now. There's no way. I don't know how they could.
No, there's got to be like a 1 year penalty, and if you're not a lifetime member, you got to earn your status back or something like that.
So you think they're going to allow them to have just taken their hundreds of millions of dollars and then they're just in the same spot that Rory and them are at, except they got to take $100 million?
I mean, they're not in the same spot. They haven't been in the player impact program. They haven't been playing in all these events. Their world ranking is way lower. Like, there's definitely things that have happened.
But I'm saying if 1 year from now DJ's just back on the PGA Tour, he's in the same spot. He's able to, starting next season or whenever it would be, he's able to start in January at the Farmers Insurance and then go to Phoenix Open and able to get his standing on the PIP. He's able to earn his world ranking back. So that stuff that he maybe fell down in those rankings in isn't gone. He now has that same opportunity. He's in the same spot. He's playing on the same tour, except he just got to take a bunch of money. I think there are many, many people that would not allow that to happen.
The victory might be sweet enough to have those guys come back. Watching them come back to the PGA Tour being like, we knew that wasn't going to work. I get that they have hundreds of millions of dollars more in their bank account, but having those guys crawl back to the PGA Tour might be enough. And Rory, like, I don't know who it would come down to. They probably get everybody together and be like, what should we do about this? Rory seems like a guy who might be like, yeah, just let him come back. Because the sport is more interesting if all those guys are involved.
The only thing that I think Monahan would want included in this is if he could publicly slap Greg Norman across the face on live TV at the Players Championship next year.
Get Dana White involved, have the power slap.
That's what I mean.
Jay Monahan, one side, Greg Norman.
And Monahan just gets to look at him on the face and be like, you dumb idiot. And he just smacks him in the face. But then, maybe it's just a slap line. Maybe whoever really hated Monahan in his bed, maybe Phil gets to slap Monahan in the face. Be like, look, where'd you find out with $220 million? Where'd you find all this $200 million? Where'd that PIP money come from, Monahan? Why'd you make me ruin my fucking legacy? I was one of the most liked golfers on the planet. I'm the fucking Masters champion. I won all these fucking things. And I'm gonna smack the shit out of you because now I had to go to the fucking Saudis and ruin my life because you just wouldn't pony up 5 years ago when I've been asking. I have all these emails begging you to pay us more. So I think there could be a slap off. I really do. Right. I think that turn that into the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup. Like, just turn it into a fucking slap match.
No idea is a bad idea. I think that should be right up there with all the ideas.
Don't we also think that the Ryder Cup's going to play a huge role in how these guys are all going to accept each other? Like, if the European team has these guys play with Rory McIlroy, that would mean that he allows that to happen, which would then lead to a path back to the PGA Tour. So, like, we're going to find out very soon on if that's going to happen, aren't we?
Yeah, but the PGA Tour, the PGA of America are different organizations. So
but
it's like
it does come down to relationships, right?
We're talking about the relationship, so that's all we're talking about.
But I don't know that Rory has I don't know that that's his call, right? It's the
God, they'd have to run it by him. They would have to run it by him.
But I don't think he's gonna. Even if he's like, no, absolutely not. I think that like the DP World Tour, aka the former European Tour, like would potentially be in a position where they're like, sorry, this is like what we're doing, or this is legally what we have to do, because they're kind of losing that right now, aren't they? Like these guys are allowed to play in the DP World Tour events currently because of the way the lawsuit's going. They're in a weird spot with that because they stripped Henrik Stenson of his captaincy of the European Ryder Cup team, and then they're going to allow people to play on the Ryder Cup team that did the same thing he did, but he's just not allowed to be captain. That'd be crazy.
How about this? How about this for a solution? You let the guys come back, but they have to donate 60% of what they were paid by LIV to the PGA Tour charities.
Now we're talking. I think people would do that. They have to pay a penalty of 60%, which would essentially, would be like the money that they actually got, because after taxes and everything. So they have to basically donate all the money that they got back to PGA Tour charity.
I don't think Bryson, I think he would just, I got my money, I'll do my YouTube thing, a long drive. Like, I think, I'm not sure DJ would come back too. And, you know, some of these guys were toward the tail end. And if you could have told them, hey, we'll give you 70 million, you're done, they would take it. So I think those guys like Louis Oosthuizen, like, you know, Ian Poulter, I don't think those guys would even try to come back. I think they're riding off into the sunset.
But those guys are nobodies. The tour doesn't want them back. They're nobodies. They're still nobodies. Nobody cares.
So we're really talking about just like DJ Brooks, Joaquin Neiman, Abe Answer, Taylor Gooch.
If honestly, if Louis Oosthuizen and fucking Ian Poulter are like, we want to come back, the tour's like, we don't care. We in no way care. I think there's like maybe 4 or 5 names that would potentially like move the needle enough that the tour could leverage it into positives, having them back in there, which is Brooks, DJ, Cam Smith, Phil. Even Phil's still a big name. Like getting them back in there, they would care about. But literally 40 something names out of the 48-man field. I saw the one guy, Kim, shot 19 over. I saw for the last week, who finished 48. But I think that the tour would be like, we don't care about you. Like, go away.
I think what it comes down to, like, guys. Riggs, you make a good point about those guys. Then you allow them to come back, and they've already got all this money. But if you allow these guys to come back, we're talking about eyeball guys. So if Brooks comes back, a Bryson, a Phil, like you get more eyeballs, and therefore more people are watching, and the tour makes more money because there's more fans and all that. So I think at the end of the day, hard feelings aside, if you let these guys come back in and it grows the product, I think overall that's a good thing for everybody.
Is LIV not doing well globally? Is this not like, because you see all this WBC World Baseball Classic conversation going on? Kevin Clancy's been getting canceled every single day on Twitter for saying that he thinks it's the dumbest tournament of all time. Obviously, when Diaz goes down,
he's a little mean. He's a little Mean Girls Pod, approach.
Well, I mean, I think
I appreciate him. He wakes up every day and still goes
going after Marcus Stroman, the whole thing.
That's just exhausting. I love it.
He definitely believes in his, like, the reason why he's saying it. Like that if you gave these guys a decision pre-tournament that like you're going to get hurt during this, are you going to play in it? They would all say no. And if you took their money away, if they did get hurt, they would never play in it. They would just play with their MLB team. So I get that. And I actually agree with him on that. But when all these people, Jared Carabas and all these guys were throwing all these numbers at him, that like the WBC, yes, to us in America, I mean, the American team has been amazing, so the games have been awesome. But like when you saw the numbers in China and fucking Dominican Republic and Japan, there was like 40 million people or something like that were watching these games around the world. And in America, we were having discussions on if it mattered or not. Like we were acting like that's not the real thing. So like, is LIV seeing any of that around the country? I mean, around the world, where all these guys that we're saying, like, they're not needle movers. Like maybe not to us, like an Abraham Answer to me, I really don't care. But is he massive right now? Are people watching Abraham Answer like every single time he steps up to a tee?
I remember I heard something or read, I don't know where I heard this, but it was like when the LIV events are in America, the ticket sales are nothing because you can see these guys in America at a PGA Tour event, like the names are bigger. But when you go to somewhere like Australia where there is no PGA Tour event, there's the LIV ticket sales are much higher because you get to see these big name golfers coming to your country where none of them ever come here. And I think that's the one hole in the PGA Tour's plan against LIV is that there's not a ton of international events. So when any golf tour goes there that has any sort of notoriety, any big names, it's going to sell out because they never see them. And LIV is exploiting those locations.
I think they're going to get some pop when they go to Australia. I think they are. I think they're sold out already.
Are we missing that when we discuss them falling and like no juice? Like, are they gaining juice where I'm not even walking in those stores. I don't know the juice that's being produced in there. I'm not aware of it. I don't know all of this stuff. I'm only seeing this stuff on Twitter.
Your desk.
No, that juice didn't come across my desk. I don't know the pop that's happening in Australia right now. I don't know.
I think so.
Is there a little is that their fault for not marketing? Like, we're actually fucking murdering this thing across the globe. Like, we're selling out tickets everywhere we go.
That's why I think it might not be is because they're not saying it. You know what I mean? I feel like if they had these victories, they would make that very well known. But you're right. I just Googled like international TV ratings for LIV. I don't see anything. All the conversations are US based. But US is, and we talk about golf around the world. The US is by far the biggest golf audience.
Right. Baseball has a huge global audience, which helps those numbers. Huge.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
I think they'll get juice, right? I think that they'll get sold out crowds in Australia that'll be pumped. I think the Aussie team will get a lot of love and like they're going to promote that. But at the end of the day, it's a business. Business comes down to dollars and cents. It comes down to costs versus revenue. And I think that like, even if they get a little bit of juice for a few weeks when they're in Australia, I don't know that it's coming even close to closing the delta between the amount of money that they've dished out and the amount of money that they've got coming in. So I don't know. I don't think I think that they wish they probably were getting plenty more pop in the US right now and that they could carry that momentum into their international stops. And they don't seem to be to the point where I don't really see it anywhere except for the same bots or handful of people that I think are just shills for LIV Golf, hoping to get a payout like a David Faraday got or something in the media world. But other than that, I don't see there being much pop.
Right. Yeah, it really does come down in the WBC comparison. They're huge international, but they also sold out every single night of like quarterfinal play in Arizona. I mean, like 60,000 people are showing up to these games in America to go watch these teams. So yeah, they're taking that, and they're also playing in Japan. They're playing in Cuba, wherever else they're playing. That's where you get the pop. That's why it's successful.
It is interesting what you said initially, though, Riggs, about the star power, because if those first two events were won by Dustin and Cam Smith, it would be a completely different narrative. And that's why they paid all these guys all these money. They're just not playing well. Like the guys that they paid $200 million for Phil Mickelson. Fred Couple said, if you're going to pay Phil Mickelson $200 million at age 52 to shoot 74 and 75, God bless you. And that's basically what they've done. And that guy, Siwon Kim, you were talking about, he's finished dead last in both events, 82, 77, 78, 75, 79.
Beautiful.
He's made 240 grand, 240 grand because you get 120 grand for last, and his team finished third. So they got like another 200 grand. Yeah. I think he gets booted after this year.
Is he on the chopping block over there? I mean, no pun intended, but like are they just going to, right? I mean, they're like, you're like embarrassing the kingdom, and like you got to be. It's over for him, right?
Yeah. Great disservice to the nation.
A flaw in the LIV plan is like you give somebody $150 million and then expect them to continue to try to strive for greatness. Like, I know guys in the PGA Tour make a ton of money, but if you give a guy $100 million, like you can't expect the exact same level of output when the events don't really mean anything and legacy is kind of out the window. Like, Phil and DJ and Brooks, like, I don't know what their work ethic has been like, but it can't, when you're sleeping in silk sheets, as they say, it's harder to get up and be like, I want to be the best I can be when the bank account is huge.
Yep, totally. So that brings us to the Masters tournament. Will be fascinating to see how these guys perform, how their what their reception is like. Is Sergio going to show up in like Fireballs gear head to toe? I need to see if how that's going to pan out. Played at Greyhawk Golf Club, boys and girls, on Saturday with some buddies, and they have the new Trulies with real vodka on the cart. They come as a high recommendation to the beverage cart people. They happen to be women up there, so the cart girls up at Greyhawk. And I'm telling you, these vodkas, these Truly vodkas that are new, we tasted them for the first time at the Barstool Classic Championship last fall. These puppies are just making waves around town because of how good they are. And we always like and love Truly and the different flavors and how many different options that they had, and the fact that all 12-ounce cans have under 110 calories, which means plenty of refreshing flavor that will not weigh you down. Low sugar. Every Truly vodka seltzer contains only 2 grams of sugar. We've always been pumped about the Trulies, but now there's real vodka in these Trulies that just take it to the next level.
It's a game changer. It's a game changer with all the competition and all these real vodkas, real juices, all this stuff. The fact that Truly just never had that was like, all right, it's different. It's Truly. You're going to get them on the golf course. And now they're just in the mix. It's a real vodka drink. You know you're going to like it. You know all your buddies are going to like it. You bring that to the golf course. It's a home run. They've absolutely knocked it out of the park. Truly is here to stay.
Plus, they've been supporting the Barstool Classic. This is their fifth year as the sponsor of the Barstool Classic. When that puppy was nothing, we had never done a single event ever, never, not once. They said, yep, we want to be in on that. We want to be the title sponsor on that. We want to provide Trulies to hundreds, if not thousands, of Barstool golfers around the country so that they can have a great time and not be weighed down. Bang, Truly was on it. So find Truly Hard Seltzer near you at trulyhardseltzer.com. Again, that is trulyhardseltzer.com. We haven't seen these guys mingle since the Open Championship. We really haven't. I mean, the one time we got even a taste of them mingling was in Dubai when you had the Rory and Patrick Reed situation on the driving range, which I think Reed didn't even really know that he had any relationship with Rory because that all goes through Justine most likely. But the small taste we were able to get drove a lot of headlines. So having this now at the Masters, where you got to think that the Green Jackets are going to try to shut all of that down as much as humanly possible, even going into this thing. So that just adds another element to the Masters. And we've been speaking about it for about 7-8 months now about how the majors will be the time when we finally get all of the drama and the conversation and the positive and negative about LIV comes together with the PGA Tour, the players in the biggest arenas that we possibly have in this sport. And we're on the verge of that. We're a couple weeks away from having that occur. And then we're going to get every month. We got PGA, US Open, British Open, bang, 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 where we're going to get all of this. So it's going to be pretty condensed into like 4 months of the entire year where we get some of this. And we'll probably learn a lot about, are there rumors about people trying to get back? Has anybody tried to really come back? Does anybody want to? Is the tour going to even consider it? So yeah, it'll be another very cool storyline going into the majors that we get to have that we've never had before.
I think something happens at the Masters. Yes. I think something at the dinner.
What do you mean something happens?
Just like
fist fight.
I don't know what it is, and I don't know what degree, but like Riggs was saying, the little bit we've had where Patrick Reed and Rory, I mean, it's golf, so it's not exactly a bloodbath, but guys throwing a tee at someone's feet. The Open Championship was before all the lawsuits, right?
Yeah, yes, I believe so.
I think that's right. So
yeah, those came around the Tour Championship, which was a month and a half later.
Right. So this is the first time we've had the big groups together. Again, I don't know what it's going to be, but somebody's going to say something. We're talking, these are big egos. This is big money, a lot of competitive people. Like, there's no way you can get all those guys into a condensed area and not have something. Maybe
and you have the older guys whose filters aren't there anymore, like a Fred Couples, who will say whatever they want. Just say whatever.
And Sergio he's hot under the collar. He'll get mad about something, like maybe some shoving, maybe some punches.
No.
Come on, dude.
That's not happening at the Masters, dude. They're still human beings. I mean, all this
that
stuff
actually makes me think that something is going to happen. They are human beings.
It's the Masters, man. There's no
Give me a
way
shove.
they're not going to
shove.
They're not going to just
mark me down for a shove. I got a shove.
I'm marked down for nothing happens. They're going to take the photo. They're going to do the whole thing. Everyone's going to be smiling. Tiger's going to be smiling. He's going to be sweaty. The whole deal is going to be the same as it's ever been. You're not getting anyone saying anything. And if they did, it's not getting out. It's the fucking Masters, man. They got green jackets walking around. You can't even fucking walk. You can't knock a piece of like a pine cone on the wrong side of the grass without someone walking over and kicking you out of the facility. So there's no way.
Mark me down. I want it on record.
No.
I'll mark me down for a shove.
Dude, you can't even look at someone the wrong way at that place. There's no way.
Shove.
They definitely got a message being like, this is Augusta National.
I think if it weren't for
treated with respect,
Fred Ridley being there, I think there's a chance we would get a photo that would have all of the LIV guys in the champions photo, like together when people split like boys and girls when they're in middle school.
Yeah.
I think we would have gotten a photo like that potentially, but I think Fred Ridley is going to be very much, I think Adam Scott actually gave us some really good insight into that, where he's like, I'm pretty sure that the chairman is going to set the record straight at the beginning of the night, being like, look, we're here. None of the other stuff is here. This night is about us and about Scotty Scheffler, and that's it. And I think he's going to put a close to any of that, which is a damn shame. But I'm rooting for a shove. I would like to see a shove, some sort of physical altercation, anything. But that's a tough place to have it happen.
Somebody gets a couple whiskeys in them.
No, it's
Fred Couples says something.
It's a
Sergio
debate
says
over
something.
golf
Phil
tournament.
says something.
These guys aren't criminals. They're not fucking like. They're not like.
They're suing.
But
their
you're
buddies.
acting like guys.
not
Like
villains.
you're acting like competitive guys don't get a little hot under the collar and say shit to each other.
They do, but like they're able to fucking like have respect for the thing. Like there's just no way.
It's an unprecedented year. It's been an
I'm
unprecedented
sure guys have
24
hated other
months.
winners before, and someone said something about someone else's family member or whatever,
Fred-
and they've had bad shit. They've
Fred just is like, hey, Sergio, you're gonna be nervous to play in front of fans for the first time this week.
Yeah, see, now we're talking.
Freddie will definitely test the waters. Freddie will definitely throw some out there, throw some bait out there.
And like Tiger's the head of this thing. Like Tiger, he's he's above all of, he's just like, I'm the greatest ever. But he's also been the guy, him and Rory, being like, we are fighting tooth and nail against this thing. So it's not like he is an unbiased observer.
I think if a comment's made, it'll be with a chuckle, and I think the guy that they're making the comment to, whether it's Phil or Sergio or whatever, will have to just take it on the chin and laugh and be like, nice to be around you boys again, and then just go back to the dinner. No one's going to be like, what'd you say? And start punching. It's just never going to happen.
Step up.
Right.
Up.
I guess
It's going to be an
Hold me
agreed
back,
upon
boys. Hold me back.
situation where it's like, if something's said, just let it go.
from my vantage point, what I don't want as a fan and like who has watched all this unfold, I don't want like just a bunch of rich guys in a room being like, yeah, but we're all rich, so
That's
for sure. And that's what the good, that's what the
Dude.
safe money is on. But I also think they're all competitive and there's lawsuits flying around and feelings have been hurt and something might happen. Maybe.
You got a
Imagine
bunch
it like,
of rich guys eating dinner at Augusta National.
Dude, imagine
like we're
it-
acting like this is at Texas Roadhouse. It's
I would love
fucking-
it.
come on, dude.
It boils into like decades of pent up Gary Player like stabs Jack Nicklaus over like, and you're
Not
like-
even related to it. Everyone
Yeah.
just goes crazy.
Yeah.
It's a
See
melee.
like Sergio and Freddie, and then all of a sudden, like one of those two is like, "This is my chance," and you're just like these.
I mean,
like a
Will
butter
Smith
knife.
Will Smith did smack somebody at the fucking Oscars.
Here we go, dude.
Like
See?
that was unprecedented. You know what
That's
I mean?
right.
The world's
That's right.
a weird place right now.
But that's also like that's the Oscars. This is Augusta National. It's not happening there.
Greg
It's not
Norman couldn't
happening.
win one green jacket. Get him in that room. Come on, get him in
It's
there.
not gonna happen, dude. It's not gonna fucking happen. I would listen. I would love to see reports from like Nuclear Golf being like, we're hearing crazy shit. They've locked the doors at Augusta National, and that no one's going out. There's a dead body being carried out. Like it's just like, holy shit, who
Don't
done
you
it?
if it's going to happen, this is the year though, because if 3 years ago, if we had said, do you think there will ever be a rogue Saudi-backed golf league that Phil Mickelson joins and then completely disrupts the entire golf landscape? You'd have been like, no, that's insane. It's been an unprecedented time for the game of golf. So I think, if somebody's going to get punched, if somebody's going to get shoved, it's 2023 at the Champions Dinner.
Yeah, I need like one of the LIV guys, like a Phil or a Sergio, to go in there like Jackson Mahomes style with his phone, like arrives at the dinner and is like, "What's up, poor boys?" and like just gets the pot stirred right away. And like, yeah, we need something. We need something from that dinner. But I think it's most likely going to come out. There'll be a photo. They'll act like they all had a lovely, cordial time. But it won't take much. It takes one little Fred Couples jab, and I
Just
think
like
he might get
new
the guys
watch
going.
Phil? Or
Because
something
it's
like
not like-
something
dude,
about how much money he has now.
dude,
A
it's-
new watch.
The thing is, the stakes are super high. It's not like this is over nothing. And Phil has been getting all of this credit now, being like, you changed the PGA Tour. Thank you. Like, that's been the murmurs of sentiment coming from whoever on the PGA Tour. Like, those are big decisions and big moments for the sport. Like, this isn't about one guy getting $1 million over another guy. This is about changing everything.
What did Freddie call Phil? Like
Nutbag.
recently,
Nutbag.
called him a crazy nutbag.
That sounds like a shove waiting
Dude.
to happen to me.
Right?
That's
These guys are just
crazy.
gonna all sit at a table together. Nobody's gonna have any like.
I mean, Tiger
that's
and
weird,
Phil.
man. That's just weird. Like Sergio's gonna be a few seats down from Freddie, and they're just going back and forth in the media for the last month about chirping each other, and they're just gonna sit there and be like, "Oh, pass the bread, please." There, Fred.
I mean,
Fred's,
I think Tiger is irate at Phil Mickelson, and he would never say it out loud because Tiger knows that he could have done this so long ago. He could have gotten so much money and cashed in, but Tiger believes, I did what I thought was good for the game of golf. And he's going to view Phil Mickelson as a total scab who got late in his career and realized he couldn't compete and went and got a huge payday. And I think Tiger has zero respect for that guy. And I think he won't even look in his direction.
I agree with that. I think Tiger, I mean, he made it clear in the Genesis. He's like, oh yeah, I expect the dinner to be pretty awkward. Like he said that. He's like, no, I'm not. I don't think Tiger's going to go in and be cordial. I think he's going to be, he might be going in there looking, he might go in there with his cold, like Stephen Ames look, being like, I'm not here for your guys' bullshit. Fuck you guys.
Imagine that night there's reports that an ambulance has made its way to Augusta National. They're like, somebody was in need of medical attention. We don't know if they had to go to the hospital, but there's an ambulance parked outside.
It could be Gary Player had an episode, or it could be someone got punched in the face.
That's right.
It could be Gary Player finally took his butter knife to Jack Nicklaus's like yellow vest stomach, and he just couldn't take it anymore.
If they want to really blow this thing up, just have an ambulance drive near, becomes pro wrestling, and now it's the most talked about thing in sports for the next 48
We get
hours.
like one of those Blair Witch Project style videos of an ambulance making like a hard right down Magnolia Lane and you're like, wow, it's Tuesday.
I mean, you think these guys ever thought about not showing up? Like anyone? Like just like protesting the dinner?
From either side, you're saying?
From either side, yeah.
It would be
the fact
Sergio.
that they're all going to go makes me think that they know it's got to be cordial. Like if you really had that big of a problem with it, wouldn't you just not show up?
Or they're as curious as we are. Like if I were on either
you're
side,
not allowed to like show up and fight the guy. You should have been like, I shouldn't have come. Like if I really don't want to be with you at dinner, I shouldn't have come.
I genuinely think
you're signing up for it.
I think there's genuine curiosity on what it's going to be like.
But then you have to keep your mouth shut, I think, if you show up.
Do you guys
disagree?
Really?
No.
I think you're signing like an unwritten rule of like if I'm agreeing to come to dinner with you, that's what I'm doing. Like
and you can also say like it's an unwritten rule that like if you leave a golf league, you shouldn't then sue the one that you just left.
That's an unwritten rule.
That should be an unwritten rule.
It's a good rule.
Frankie, think about like Thanksgiving with your family. Like people go into that and they're ready for war when they sit down at that table.
I think that some of them are crazy for even showing up in the first place. Like you knew it was going to happen.
People are crazy. They're going to show up to this dinner. I think people are crazy. They're going to show up to this dinner.
I'm surprised at you as a guy who likes confrontation and likes to argue that you would say like, no, I'm just not going to show up to this dinner.
I'm just trying to picture myself at that table. It's like no way would I be the one that like ruins the reputation of Augusta National. And I don't think any of these guys who have won the Masters and know what it takes and like know all the things that go behind the scenes at Augusta National will ever in a million years ruin that reputation.
Here's what I know though. If I would pay $5,000 to live stream that dinner, and if I had an invite already because I won the tournament, I'm definitely showing up.
So there's only 6 guys who we're only talking about 6 guys. So it's Phil, it's Sergio, it's Patrick Reed, Bubba Watson, Charles Schwartzel, and there's one more that I don't remember. DJ. Okay, so those are the 6 guys. So who's it going to be? It would only be Sergio, right? There's no way.
No.
You think Patrick Reed?
I think Patrick Reed, Phil, Sergio. Are you fucking short? Schwartzel's not going to say a word. I think DJ's not going to say a word.
Yeah.
But like those 3 of those guys, I think might come in there ready for any like. You know, like literally Tiger might be like, oh, welcome. They'll be like, what'd you say? What'd you say, Tiger? Like, what did you hear that? And like, I think they might be ready, dude. I think like Trent said, they might be just as curious as anybody. Like, I can't wait to get to this dinner and see. I'm going to have myself a nice glass of red wine and I'm going to just see what the fuck happens at this thing.
We need Trevor Immelman to like FaceTime us after or from the fucking table. Like somehow give us an update. Like, we should have one of our guys. It could even be Adam Scott now. Adam Scott's our guy. We should have them send us a text like red means it's going like poorly and like yellow means like everyone's cautious and like controlled. Just send us like an emoji, just like one little logo. And that's going to let us know what's going on. Imagine you get that red dot from fucking Trevor. Like when he sends us a group text, it's just a red fucking emoji. And you're like, what's going on in there, dude? It's nuclear
ambulance clip.
It just could be any combination of things is my thing. It's not one thing. It's anything. Like if somebody could take a shot at Tiger, just like completely inappropriate, talking about like, you know, you're not perfect. And then it's another guy from the non-live side that's like, well, now I got to stick up for my guy. I got to stick up for Tiger. And it just unravels.
Sergio shows up to the par 3 contest with like 2 black eyes and everyone's like, Yeah, no, the dinner went great last night.
That I would respect the fuck out of.
Tigers got like bandages.
What happens
on
in
his
the room stays in that room.
right
Fight Club.
It's like that. Yeah, it is. It's like that scene in Semi-Pro when they go to commercial and everybody just starts brawling, and then when the cameras come back on, it's like, no, everything was totally fine.
All right, we're back here. Yeah,
it is going to be hard. Think about how much small talk happens at a dinner table. It's going to be hard to talk to those 6 guys about anything other than. But that's why I said in the beginning, I think those guys are going in knowing what they signed up for. They're going to have to just take it. Whatever the comment may be, they're going to ask about it, whatever. You're just going to have to smile and be like, I know, whatever.
Do you think that
you're going to
Patrick
have to
abides by decorum?
Well,
that's not a guy who he doesn't even know what the word decorum is.
Look at his home. Look at the pictures of his home.
Who, Patrick Reed?
Yeah, have you not seen these?
No.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna send these to you.
Describe them.
Just the most ridiculously decorated house that you've could possibly ever imagine.
I can't imagine what the interior design of that brain looks like.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, you think he designs the home?
Nope.
But either way, it's got to be pretty wild.
I think Phil Mickelson
Patrick Reed made one major wrong decision in his life, and it's caused a downfall of major decisions.
Wait, which one? There's so many. What's the one?
There's a lot.
I mean, I would say the first, like the main one, which would be like his significant other, has then caused a torrential downfall of messes and ruining his brain and telling him that he deserves this and you should go fight them and you should get any advantage. I mean, come on, guys. There's one underlying issue.
He was rumored to be a violent cheater well before he even met her. So
I would also argue that
he's like moving sand from behind his ball. Like that's not really.
How long have they been together? Not since college.
But I would also argue the type of person who's like, colleges. Yep, that's my ride or die is like. That's a type of person who's going to end up with that.
I'm just saying, there's a darkness in the background that's
definitely a huge factor.
If anybody, we need to start gassing up Justine, being like, "What's Patrick going to do with this dinner?"
I think we could do that easily. We should DM Use Golf Facts and just be like, "You guys got a plan for this dinner? Like, what?
Or just like, make her feel like he's like the pussy for showing up. Like, he's just like crawling back to like a real like all the PGA Tour guys going to dinner with them.
I think Phil Mickelson will come prepared to dinner with, I think, a joke or something that he believes will handle the situation and the tension. I think he won't. There's no way Phil shows up and is like unprepared and surprised conversationally about anything that occurs. I think he's going to go in being like, I'm witty, I'm Phil. I've held court at this table before, which we've heard a lot of stories about with him being the smartest guy in the room and talking about all the knowledge he has of different plants and all kinds of shit. There's no way that guy shows up to this dinner and isn't prepared with some sort of like break the ice joke or story or something.
That house sucks.
I sent you guys pictures of the house.
The room is like a sex dungeon.
It's crazy.
Oh my God, dude.
Whoa.
Dude, wow. That second one looks like the inside of a dollhouse.
Dollhouse, yeah.
This is where he sleeps.
The real shame, and I really, really, really hope that Frankie is wrong. In this instance, the house is outrageous.
That little rocking chair is what nightmares are made out of.
Oh, dude, that third one, that last one looks like where the Lannisters like fucked up the Starks and the Red Wedding.
I think Patrick Reed's hilarious. I think everything about him, his storyline, awesome. I think he's a fucking cartoon character. That guy lives in that house.
Reed than anything I've ever seen.
They are such villains. They literally live in a lair.
They live in a lair. There's probably a moat outside with a bridge.
There's 100% a moat. They are the villains of the PGA Tour. They live in satin, silk, and fucking. They have like moats and high windows and little fucking rocking chairs, and I love them. I think they are hilarious.
Absolutely. That's where we usually end up landing on a guy like him or any of these polarizing guys that made the jump. Like,
of course, that's his house.
Yeah,
of course.
There's no way this guy shows up to this dinner and it's just like, oh, it's been a great year, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. Like, no fucking way. He's going to be chirping back at people.
I'm starting to think a shove is a guarantee. It's looking good.
Physical shove is a lock.
I think we're going to see an intermingled photo with everyone smiling.
We will, but I don't think that's going to tell the whole story. That's not going to tell the whole story, though.
It won't.
Last thing I got on my list before we throw it to Taylor Moore is unfortunately VCU basketball let us down. The Virginia Commonwealth University Rams were defeated by the Gales on Friday. Devastating for us. We were trying to get to Ireland bracket buskers. We were trying to do the whole deal. Yep. I was going to send a few bottles of that sweet Irish whiskey to folks, but unfortunately they came up short.
Never had a chance.
No, not really. Trent was obviously found, our who I thought was going to be our VCU hero, and it just never came to fruition.
David Shriver, great hair, great vibe. Airball to 3 there at the end.
He actually ruined the game at the end. He fouled a guy on a hard layup for an N1. It was a 3-point swing, and then on the tail end of that, just airballed a fucking 3. It was a 6-point swing in a game that we were only down like 4 or 5.
I felt good about when I saw him and I started looking at pictures of him. I was like, this is the type of character that March Madness usually ushers into at least the Sweet 16. So I thought he was going to be our horse, our hoss. But we
already got it with that Timmy guy last night with Gonzaga. The Timmy, he's the
Drew Timmy.
He's been there forever. He's like
the
mustache
number one guy.
The mustache, the fucking headband, just a big sweaty white guy that's just somehow got the touch of a goddess around the fucking. I don't know how that guy does what he does. He's like the most ugly. The way he does it is so ugly. It's pirouetting on his big toe and just softly swishing from around the arc. It's crazy.
Well, yeah. R.I.P. to the Rams.
I did some boy shit, some man shit this weekend where I went out and I got a fucking sound bar for my TV and a subwoofer and fucking surround sound system, like a crazy for all the tech nerds out there. It was like the Samsung Q900 or whatever. This fucking thing, man. I turned on I had already seen it, but All Quiet on the Western Front, and I went to one of the battle scenes, and I'm talking, I've got the subwoofer on the side of the couch, this crazy soundbar on the TV, and the things on either side of my ears now on the couch. You hear these bullets whizzing by you. I'm ducking. I was legitimately ducking on my couch being like, what's happening? Tanks rolling over me, the rumbling in the house, things are fucking shaking on the walls. Legitimately, the photos on the mixed towel are literally shaking. They're constantly out of place now. They're not even straight. That felt like a real just like man shit. That's all I cared about was the sound quality of my television and watching movies, and it felt really good. And it's a game changer.
I've got a sound bar that's a glorified paperweight because when I put up my huge TV, I didn't have the guys plug the sound bar in before. And so now I just have a sound bar that isn't plugged in. It just sits there.
Bro, why don't you just plug it in?
Because I can't get to it on the wall, dude. And it's a huge TV, so I can't pull it off. So
what a tactical error that was.
Yeah, that is.
It was a mistake. We hooked up everything else, and then they left. They left, and I was like, I got this sound bar and this subwoofer. And then I just never did anything about it. That was 8 months ago. It sounds all right.
Dude, when you gotta fucking plug that thing in.
Can I do that in an apartment with neighbors? I feel like that would be disrespectful.
Maybe. I don't know.
You got a house.
Maybe.
I don't think
it was so loud in my house that I actually went outside and I went to my property line and I just stood there and I listened and you couldn't hear a thing. It was fucking awesome. But I'm like, I couldn't imagine if what they were hearing out there, what I was hearing inside, if that ever would have been legal. It couldn't have been.
I share a wall right here with the neighbor,
and that's
what my TV is up against. I'd be the worst neighbor ever.
I did a lot of Reddit researching. Reddit's the best place to look for things to buy because all these other, if you type in like top 10 TVs of 2023, you're going to get just fucking fake lists of people that were like paid by these companies to put them 1, 2, and 3. You type that same thing into Reddit and you're going to get a real conversation from real people that are having like a discussion, links. This is the best place to buy. Getting a sound system. That was the number. Like, dude, there were a million different threads on what to get, how to set it up, where the music's supposed to be bouncing off your walls. And a lot of people were saying, like, how do you deal with it with neighbors in a condo or an apartment building? They were saying, like, you have to pick your times. Like, at 9 o'clock at night, you got to turn the subwoofer off. But, like, there's no, like, you can't be afraid to, like, live your life from, like, 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock if you're watching, like, a movie or a show. But there's definitely a time limit. You can't have that thing rattling while people are sleeping.
I'll just, I'll save that soundbar for when I get a house, I guess.
There you go.
In 5 years. That
soundbar
will be the first thing I hook up.
All right. I think we're done here. I had 4 really good from the galleries that we just did an hour and a half and didn't need any of them. So I'm going to try to save those for Thursday's show. from the galleries coming Thursday, hopefully this week. All right, we got the most recent winner of the PGA Tour coming up next. We'll be back on Thursday with some from the gallery stuff. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
This episode of Foreplay is brought to you by Whoop, the official fitness wearable of the PGA Tour. Coming up on that time of year, about a year that now that we've had these, seasonally green Whoop bands, the Whoop 4.0. It's sleek, skinnier. You don't even really notice it on your wrist. I actually never notice it on my wrist. Whoop is a wearable health and fitness coach that specializes in tracking and improving your recovery, sleep, and activity, whether you're still hoping to sleep better, exercise more, reduce stress, or just lower your handicap. Daily insights from Whoop are tailored to help you meet that goal.
I saw Sky Scheffler was wearing one when he won the Players. Justin Thomas wears one. Rory, I'm pretty sure, wears one. All of the elite athletes of the world, including the Foreplay podcast, wear the Whoop. And it tells you where you need to improve, what you're doing well, what you're not doing well, how you're sleeping, how your strain is, how many calories you're burning in a day. It kind of gets your life in order from a fitness and health perspective, and it's nothing but good things.
87% of Whoop members say they feel healthier with Whoop. I check it every day, every single day. You try to get to bed at a consistent time. So, it's not just that you want to get 8 hours of sleep. It's that if you go to bed at 10 or 11 and you wake up at 6 or 7 consistently, it's amazing how much better it is for your body, for your heart pumping, for your blood flow, for your blood oxygen. All of this is delivered to you by Whoop. It's all monitored, it's all tracked, and then they give you little notifications from your sleep coach, your fitness coach, that recommend when you should go to bed. It's about time to start winding down. It's about time to stop looking at screen. All that good stuff is tailored to you by Whoop, which is incredible just by wearing this puppy. So go to whoop.com. That's WHOOP.com. Use code 4 to save 10% off your order. Whoop.com, code 4, 10% off your order.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear you. How we doing? Congrats.
Sinclair. Congratulations, dude.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
You wearing what I think you're wearing right now?
I got this about 3 years ago. I stopped there. I would have been in it.
Oh, shit. Barstool
No
Golf
way.
hoodie on Taylor
How
fucking
good is
Ford.
that? That's
How about that?
Dude, those cradle ones are sweet. That merch we did in the shop. So you were there playing and you just picked it up in the shop?
Yeah, my fiance and I went there for the first time. I'd never been there, and we went there with a couple of friends to play the cradle and play number 2 and hang out for a couple of days. So yeah, it was sick.
Your team fiance, both Frankie and I are got weddings that are fast approaching. When is yours?
January most likely. We don't have it set in stone yet. We're still trying to figure out some of the details, but
Can't
pretty
do
much
it Century Week now.
Yeah,
Not
right.
Century Week.
Nope. We'll be about it.
I think we've just started, right? I think this is the show.
Yeah,
sure.
We're on the show. I gotta say, Pinehurst just sent me. I know you got the Pinehurst thing on. They just sent me their spring collection thing right here. I'm getting ready to open this puppy up on the live show because you inspired me with that cradle thing on.
Yeah, let's see it.
Oh, it's
Look
pink.
at that thing. Look at that thing.
Yeah,
They got
it's
the
nice.
flowers on them.
Yeah, little spring action, dude. That's
I was gonna say it's a nice spring touch there.
That is a nice spring touch.
what a catch. That's great. You have that on. I love it. Let's talk about this. What a day for you. It's been 24 hours. You just won on the PGA Tour. Pretty. You won in a way that's always interesting to me because you finish a few groups ahead and then you watch these guys come home. What's that, whatever it was, 45 minutes to an hour, what's that like watching these guys try to get in the clubhouse and you posted 10 under?
Yeah, pretty nerve-wracking, honestly, just because you don't really know what's going to happen. And honestly, I was just trying to stay loose in case of a playoff, right? So didn't have any monitors or anything around, so I was getting updates from one of the media officials there, just kind of shot by shot. He was getting updates and telling me, and yeah, I just went to the range just to kind of stay in the boat, and then worked my way over to the putting green. And as those guys kind of came up 18, and I knew Adam was in trouble there on 18, and then got to expect Jordan to do something cool, right? Especially after missing that on 17, I was fully prepared, to see him drop that bomb on 18 and go into a playoff. But yeah, it's first time really having that happen, so it was pretty crazy moment. It just happy it went that way.
This person's hitting you with all right, Adam Schenk is left-handed with the club flipped over.
Yeah, what was that like?
Exactly. Yeah, literally. Well, I'm like kind of getting loose again. Like it's a pitching wedges. He's like, Jordan just hit a 406 feet on 17. I'm like, cool, thanks.
Yeah, you probably want to punch that guy square in the face. What a couple weeks for the University of Arkansas. Last week, your old teammate Nico, who apparently is a huge foreplay fan, we discovered that at the Players Championship. He was like freaking out. He won. You guys take out Kansas, and you win. Is Arkansas the new like Oklahoma State these days?
Yeah, sneaky heater right now. I mean, we got some good players, man. We had some good teams when I was in school. We went to the national championship every year I was there, and a bunch of good players. I mean, I was so stoked at dinner Saturday night watching us beat Kansas. I mean, I was a little embarrassed yelling the way I did at the restaurant I was at, but I mean, not many times you knock off a 1 seed, so I was sick. But yeah, no, got a good program there at Arkansas. Coach McMakin and Coach Place have done such a good job just getting us prepared for the next level. I mean, it started, with Andrew Landry and David Leavenworth and Ethan Tracy, 3 guys that were on the tour, and now me and Nico are out there getting it done. So definitely exciting times.
You get back for a game? Do you go back to a football game every year?
I try to. Yeah, it's hard. I went to a South Carolina game this year. One of my buddies, Matt Neesmith, who also plays on tour, is a big Gamecock fan. So we met him in Fayetteville, went to that game this year. But yeah, definitely try to get back for a football game. Big baseball fan as well. So love me some Hog baseball. Got a good program there. My dad
great
actually played
program,
baseball
right?
there. So yeah, really solid.
Yeah, I feel like I always see them up there. That's sick. We got to get to a game. I feel like an Arkansas game would be.
You guys would love that golf course there too. The Blessings, they hosted NCAAs there. It's sick.
What a name.
Dude, people, I've seen pictures. That place looks like Augusta, right?
Well, Arkansas is like sneaky, really hilly, and got great terrain. People don't really realize.
Yeah, some elevation change. It's just gorgeous. Like, yeah, honestly, you guys would love it. If you went to, we could set that up, a little football game and a little golf there in Fayetteville one weekend. That'd be pretty fun.
I'm in for that.
Let's play your ass in a scramble at the Blessings. That sounds like a delightful time.
No problem. Yeah, that'd be so fun.
I would love that. Is your putter like burning a hole through the back of your car seat right now? Because that thing's been so red hot. That thing, we were talking about it before you came on, man. 64 for 64 inside of 7 feet. Plus on that back 9, there were a couple medium length, even borderline bombs that you made that were just never going to miss. What's going on with that putter right now?
Yeah, it finally got hot for me. I've been waiting for that, but I've just gotten gradually better since I've turned pro with the short game and the putter, and just been putting in the work day in and day out with Josh Gregory, who's my coach. And yeah, obviously, to not miss a putt inside of 7 feet is pretty sick. I don't think I've done anything really close to that, so that was unbelievable. But yeah, it was awesome to see some putts going down the stretch. That one on 16 was big. I'm not too much of a emotions guy, but gave it a little fist bump there after that one winning, because I knew I was pretty close to the lead at that point. And then clutch 2 putt there on 18 to seal the deal.
Yeah, 64 for 64 is so outrageously not real. When we were going through that, we're saying even if you were way above tour average for the week, you would have still lost by a couple strokes. You know what I mean? You think about how close golf is. Let's say you go 62 for 64 or something like that.
Yeah.
You're still you're losing by 1, and that number would be outrageous to people. Oh, he went 62 out of 64. You fucking putt lights out. So are you feeling that pressure? Obviously, it's your first win PGA Tour. I want to get ahead of this. I did say on Twitter that it was a boring way to win compared to all the other storylines. We had Jordan Spieth, we had Shank hitting lefty, but you got the job done.
He was rooting against you, is what he's telling you.
I'm not rooting. Jordan Spieth's in the mix.
I pull for your Islanders, and you for me, so it's fine.
Listen,
it's going to be an all-time backdraft. It's going to be an all-time.
This is going the other way real fast.
Listen, I'm going to stick. Yes. I'm sticking to my guns.
Most exciting win in PGA Tour history.
I'm sticking to my guns and saying that I wanted Jordan Spieth to win that tournament, but. And listen, there's no denying that winning when you're watching the guys come up 18 is less exciting than the guy drain. If he would have hit his 64th putt in a row to win and everyone's there and you get to celebrate on there, obviously that's a better moment. I just don't like that fact of watching the guy on the putting green win and have to celebrate in the clubhouse essentially. That part to me, I'm not. Maybe I'm backtracking a little bit, but what I was gonna say is going through. Are you thinking about that mid tournament being I'm putting the best I've ever done and I'm still barely like right there. Like, is that ever like overwhelming to you guys on the tour where you have to play legitimately perfect sometimes to even sniff a win?
I think when you're out there, it's just different. Like, I don't think it's necessarily overwhelming, but it's just like at a place, like Innisbrook, which is so just tricky, I would say in general, like it's very, very demanding. The rough is very penalizing. The greens are crispy. Like, I mean, you're so locked into what you're doing. I didn't really know I missed a putt inside 5-7 feet all week. I just kind of was like one after the other, man. I was just had my head down and just me and my caddy were grinding it up and, just added them up at the end and it was enough. So, I would say it's more along the lines of that.
Be incredible if you're like lining up your putt on 17. You're like, dude, this is for the 63rd out of 63.
That's what I mean. I would be thinking about that.
I heard they tried to give me the Masters jinx on 18. I think they put up the stat like right before I putted that 6-footer.
They were praying for Jordan.
Yeah, right.
I want to ask you a question. I was looking through your stats and I found something that I found very interesting. In 2019 on the Corn Ferry Tour, you were second in driving distance at 330 yards per. Right now, you are 70 something in the 70s on the PGA Tour at right around 300 yards. So is that misleading? Did you change your strategy or what's going on with that disparity? Is that stat just like doesn't mean anything?
Slightly misleading because on tour they measure every drive. And on the Corn Ferry Tour, they measure like 2 drives a day. And so it could have just been like more coincidence of catching some downwind holes versus, mostly par 5s or something of that nature. Whereas the tour, they measure, every single drive, every driver that you hit could be blowing 30 in and you hit it 255 and that counts, right? So I think it's a little bit misleading.
So what's a better indicator? Right near the top in driving distance or in the middle of the pack?
I would say slightly above average. Yeah, I would say like I'm a 305 carry guy, like all level conditions, 178 to 180 ball speed, 120 club speed kind of in there.
That's average these days. 180 used to be like the threshold. It was like if you could get it to 180, you were a bomber.
Well, even 5 years ago, like when I was just starting out on Corn Ferry, if you're 180, you're a top 5 guy on that tour here. And even out there, I mean, it's like barely top 50 maybe. It's crazy.
Talk to me about these bunker shots because you're doing something that a few people are popping up doing more often. I noticed watching your back nine yesterday, which is this closed stance. And we're all taught, feels like everybody does open stance, open face, and you kind of hit like a slap push cutty across it. It's pretty much what it feels like everybody's been taught. Everybody that's read through like a Golf Digest magazine or you watch like Ledbetter on Golf Channel, that's the stance. And here you are, 17, you hit one to like a foot. Long, tough bunker shot under pressure. You got this closed stance. You got to walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, I went way more neutral with my stance the last couple of years with Josh, who I mentioned earlier. But I think a lot of it's lie dependent. Like if I'm slightly uphill, I want the right foot back so it helps me swing up the slope a little bit. And then if I'm like I had a bunker shot on Fore yesterday that was pretty downhill. And so the right foot back just gives me some space to get some angle and like cut across it so I can get some height off the down. So it's kind of lie dependent, but I think you're right. Like the more, average golf fans that go watch PGA Tour players hit out of bunkers, especially live, like you're not going to see super open, super cut across. You're going to see way more neutral stances to way more slightly right foot back because that's just kind of the new way of doing it.
Yeah, it's like you watch Cam Smith, you watch Patrick Reed, who are my two, and not to bring up guys who aren't on the PGA Tour anymore, but those are the two guys that I love watching in the bunker, and both of those guys have closed stances. There's something, I guess it's like, when greens are really fast, is it really helpful to not have something that's spinning right? Because you can kind of control it.
Yeah, that's part of it. Also, too, the conditions of the bunker. Like, you'll see guys get more cutty the firmer the sand is, just because you got to have that to get height. But like last week, there was quite a bit of sand. They're a little fluffy, and so you want more rounded, more like draw feel. So I think it just kind of depends on the lie and the condition of the sand. But Josh Gregory also has taught Patrick Reed forever. And so I think Patrick kind of started a lot of the short game stuff right foot back for, most of the American players.
Let's leave it right there on things that we copy Patrick Reed for, I guess.
That's the end of the line. That's the end of the line. Yeah, that's the end of the line on that. So we got the Masters coming up a couple weeks. Obviously going to be big time for you. What's your plan? Do you have are you going to get up there early? Are you, what's our plan of attack?
Shitting your pants yet or what? I mean,
dude, trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out the logistics of it's crazy. Like it's one thing to like qualify 2 months out where you have some time, but it's another to 2 weeks and like trying to find housing, all that kind of stuff, which is tough. But no plan set in stone yet. Would love to get there early, if possible. Maybe Saturday afternoon before and get out on the course Sunday before everybody gets in, or maybe do a little day trip this weekend since I'm not in Austin playing. So we'll see. Trying to work on a few things right now. But yeah, I would definitely like to get out there early and see that place for the first time.
Literally, you've never been on the property. Didn't go like with tickets.
I'm surprised with Arkansas that you guys didn't get out there with the golf team.
I turned it down a few times. It's kind of been a thing between me and my pops to where like we wanted our first time to be there when I qualified, and so we finally get that opportunity. And
you turned wow.
Yeah, we're pretty stoked for it. How about that?
That's
turned it down a couple times just to go play for a day or two.
That's insane. That's great. I love that.
I played it enough on the video games. I know what it is.
Right. Like this generation of golfer that has been able to like play the video games and obviously watch all the Masters every year, but like every single shot because you played it virtually, and now the first time you're gonna spin around that place will be with a chance to win it. It's fucking insane, man. Like we've been to the Masters, we know what it looks like. You're playing in the thing, you haven't even been there yet. We've been to Augusta.
Yeah, maybe you guys can call it a fracture and show me since you've been out there.
That's insane. Yeah, we'll give you a little
problem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
where all the good sandwiches
those free jackets would be on us, man. If it's like, oh yeah, come out here, get a chip real quick.
Yeah, on that 12th hole, just over the middle of the tongue of the bunker. Don't screw the right side.
Yeah, we've heard that for 20 years that I've been watching the Masters at least. So
that's so cool.
Just got to do it right. Got to do it on.
Are you do you get nervous at all, even thinking about playing the Masters?
Just excited, honestly. I mean, I'm just fired up. I wish it was tomorrow. Now that I've actually got, the ability to get out there and play. I'm sure there'll be some nerves. I mean, I'm nervous every tournament starting out. First tee nerves, I think, are real. And I think, a lot of PGA Tour players will tell you that, and more about how you do handle them, embrace it. But yeah, I'm expected, to be slightly nervous, but also super pumped up to get out there and compete.
How does it work with like your actual invitation? The reason I ask, because in like Christmas time or whatever, we see all the guys that have already qualified. My vision of it is like the second that somebody couldn't possibly post 10 under, that like a carrier pigeon just arrived in front of your face and gave you an invitation to the Masters. I assume that's what happened.
I wish I could report back to you and tell you that, but that has not happened yet. So that's a great question. I do not know the protocol for that. I have not received phone call, email, invite, anything.
There might be too many Taylor Moores, dude.
I was going to say, are you sure, after the Scott Stallings incident, like we got to make sure that gets to the right Taylor Moore.
Yeah, I'm sure there are a ton of us out there, but hopefully it didn't go the wrong one.
They are. They're like, where the fuck is this guy? We're trying to find him.
Where in Dallas is he? He's somewhere in Dallas.
Is that your spot, Dallas? That's where you, that's your home base?
Yeah. I grew up in Oklahoma City, just north there in Edmond, Oklahoma. And after I finished up at Arkansas, I moved down here to Dallas. So been here about 5 years now and enjoying it.
You like run with that Dallas crew of like Jordan and Scotty, and you play with them, or you got it in your own own circle?
Yeah, I don't play as much with those guys. I see Jordan out at Merrido occasionally practicing. He plays a lot with like Romo, some of those guys, but I play more with like Zalatoris and Davis Riley. Braden Thornberry, another one of our good buddies, played us on Corn Ferry Tour. So yeah, we got a pretty good group out here in Merrido that we run with. So
I got an idea for a golf tournament. We just need a sponsor for it, but I want to put all of these little hubs of professional golfers against each other. Yeah. We could do like a Dallas versus Vegas versus Scottsdale versus Jupiter versus Sea Island. That would be kind of dope.
Yeah,
it'd be like a Ryder.
That would be cool.
Cup.
You talking like a team event? You're talking like a team event thing?
Like a team event. Maybe we'll do 48 players.
48
you
players.
Pay them a bunch of money up front, or what? How do you do that?
Maybe there'll be an individual competition.
The four aces.
Texas low swimmers.
Yeah.
Low swimmers.
So who would be your squad? I guess it'd be you, Davis, Zalatoris, and Speed. I guess Scotty. You got to put Scotty in there. Maybe you don't make the cut. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Shoot, even though I went on tour, I might not make the cut. I think you got to go Scotty, Speed, Willie Z. I mean, he's a top 5 machine in every major, it seems like.
Yeah.
And then maybe now that I've won on tour, I sneak there in the fourth
maybe
spot.
Maybe we have a play in for the 4th spot. I like your chances.
Yeah.
Barstool Sportsbook, baby. I saw Dave had probably the biggest hit of his career, it looked like, on
What'd he do? What did he get?
Friday, Saturday. He had like a 8-leg parlay that hit.
He had
Something
that, and then he
along
had
those lines.
Fairleigh Dickinson. He had them to
FDU.
win. FDU. He had them to win and upset the number one, so that was a huge hit. There's been some crazy action that's been going on. Last night was something I never really witnessed in my entire life with Gonzaga. Minus 4.5, and they're up by 5, or they were up by 6 at the time, and there's 0.7 seconds left, and they just let the ball roll all the way across half court, and the guy picks it up, chucks a 3 as the coaches are legitimately handshaking, drains it, and that's a Gonzaga no cover there. But that's the stuff that's what makes it. That's the exciting stuff, like that, being up at 1:00 in the morning and jumping on your bed and being like, oh my God, I can't believe we just covered that. We covered that plus 4.5. You're going crazy. It's a really fun experience. Obviously you do it responsibly, but I sit there with the 2 screens on the TV. I've got my iPad on my lap and I'm watching the streams from the Barstool Sportsbook in Ohio. Oh my gosh. It's just so much fun watching those guys live every single bet that they make. It's so good.
The Barstool Sportsbook is the sportsbook made for Stoolies, for Barstool fans, for Foreplay fans. It's the only place to find exclusive picks and parlays from Big Cat, Dave, Trent, Frankie, Dan, myself, Lurch, Spittin' Chicklets, you name it from Barstool. That's where you're going to find the exclusive bets as the Barstool Sportsbook this March. Kick off the action with a $100 sign-up bonus from the Barstool Sportsbook. Sign up today using code TOURNEY. That's TOURNEY. Then place a $10 or more cash wager on any college basketball bet. Win or lose, receive $100 in bonus cash. So download and create an account today. Be sure to use code TOURNEY to unlock your $100 in bonus cash. The Barstool Sportsbook lets you bet however you like with daily odds boosts, live in-game markets, move the line and teaser bets, and Parlay Plus for awesome same-game parlays. iCasino is also available in select states with your favorite table games and slots. So download the Barstool Sportsbook, create an account today. Be sure to use the code TOURNEY to unlock your $100 in bonus cash. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Willie Z almost got killed coming to say hi to us at the old course at St. Andrews last year.
We
saw us as, patrons over on the ropes, and he hit his approach shot in a practice round, and then he just walked all the way across the fairway, and one of the guys he's playing with was about to pull the trigger, and he just was completely aloof. And if it weren't for like a last second noticing of it, or I think like Lurch actually yelled at him or something. It was
Lurch was like, stop, and he stopped and looked to the right. The ball went zooming by his head, and he was like, oh shit.
How was it over there? Was it pretty sick?
Yeah, man, dude.
Sick.
I'm looking back at photos of that actually because I'm making one of the photos that we took at Crail. I took a photo at Crail. I think it might have been the first hole of just the vastness of like that property, and then you see this little cobblestone house that's just like right next to the first hole, I think it was, and it is just the coolest fucking picture I've ever taken. I turned it into black and white, and I'm putting it downstairs in our dining room. It's like that place, amazing. Scotland is like not a real fucking place. Like it's so preserved in old time, but like still works for our generation to go there. I don't know how. It's so perfect. It's not boring. Like you'd think going to like an old where golf first invented would be like, it's like, this is fucking stupid. No, it was like, it's like Disney of golf. Everywhere you turn, you can't believe it.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I've never been over there, so definitely excited to get over there and play.
One on tour, he's never been anywhere.
Did you reject trips to Scotland as well because you wanted your first one to be in the Open Championship?
No, actually just never been offered that one. I played too much baseball growing up to do all these golf trips.
What position did you play? Let me guess. You were. You look like a second baseman to me.
You kind of look like Cody, bro. You kind of look like Cody Bellinger.
Looks like a second baseman to me.
Shortstop, second base.
Very nice.
Yep. Dad coached college and high school baseball for like 20 years, and so that was my childhood. Dude, just after school, one of his coaches picked me up, or my mom take me to the field, hang out all night. So much fun.
You definitely made a glove look real good. An infielder's glove, just like perfectly bent up at the top, wide fingers.
Yeah.
Field and grounders, the fucking a nice hard sound when it hits the palm of the glove.
I love BP like before games more than people realize. So like I would love to do, like, I just love going to games, and I got some buddies now that play in the league, and I'll just go hang out with them before. That's my like therapy to get away from golf.
What kind of pants did you wear? Were you like loose pants, like all the way down to the bottom of the cleat? Did you wear like a tapered fit, high socks?
I was pretty basic, just right to the top of the cleat. I didn't go high. I didn't show the socks. It was very standard. I wasn't super flat bill either. I was like kind of like this.
I love all the aesthetic that goes into baseball, dude. Robbie Cano changed my life when I was just like little skinny second baseman white boy, but like I tried to dress and play like Robinson Cano with this crazy flow,
dead
like
ringer,
just basically like barely trying to get the ball to first base. If I like just a flick of the wrist, like as minimal effort as you could possibly put in. I used to love that shit.
Effortless. Cano was an effortless player.
Smooth. Yeah,
the smoothest that's ever. Honestly, people talk about Griffey, and I'm not like Griffey's swing and the way that he played the game for sure. There's never been a smoother infielder than Robinson Cano.
Javi Baez is pretty damn smooth.
No, dude.
Javi's smooth with the glove, but Robbie's so smooth with the bat. Like, you would hit 450-foot bombs just like
nothing.
Dude, right, flick of the wrist, and he would be blowing. Me and my buddies used to die. He'd be blowing a bubble, like rounding third base, and you'd be like, "Put some effort into it." He'd be blowing a bubblegum bubble, just like not a bead of sweat would be coming down, and he never ever had any dirt on him. So good, dude. I love that.
That was so sick.
So sick.
When'd you have to make the decision to go one or the other?
I picked up for my freshman year of high school, so went most of ninth grade year playing both. And then picked pretty much after then, and just went full in on golf. And I was doing a bunch of camps still, baseball, like the summer leading up to freshman year, going to different colleges, prep stuff. And then, I like the aspect of golf where like I won or lost depending on what I did, not necessarily umpires or teammates. I kind of like, I'd been around that for so long and played so many games at a young age, I was kind of over it. So I was just like, I want to win or lose based off like how I play and how I do it, not have, referee tell me or umpire tell me what was going on.
When you were on you spent 5 years on the Corn Ferry Tour, is that right?
That's right.
Was there ever a point during year 5 where you were like, oh, maybe I should have done baseball? I don't know. No, but like, dude, that's a long time to spend on the Corn Ferry Tour, and your dreams could die out there.
Yeah, I mean, I had 2 pretty good seasons starting out, so I was like pretty close to getting my card right out of the gate. I finished 37th my rookie season, and then I finished 30th my second year, and like that's a shot or two basically out there. And so got off to a decent start, and then I had 2 like really big things out of my control in 19 and 20, where I was basically sitting out for 4 months. I had a collapsed lung in 19 where I had to have surgery and missed 4 months of our season, and then came back on a medical and played the rest of that year. And then right when I got pretty healthy, we had COVID, and I missed another 4 months. So I was like 2 things completely out of my control that kind of prolonged, I feel like that time that I was on the Corn Ferry. But I mean, looking back, it's just a part of my story and a part of my journey, and it happened, and, just kind of put my head down and got back to work, and ended up getting my card after that like 2-1 season on the Corn Ferry.
Tell me about this collapsed lung and how you found out, how you handled it, because it's a pretty wild story.
Yeah, we had a month off in 19 on the Corn Ferry. I went out to Scottsdale to practice, get some good weather because it's kind of hit or miss here in Texas in March. And so, went out there, spent a week, practice, hung out with some buddies, and I thought I had food poisoning like our last night there, just, going through it basically all night at my buddy's house, and felt terrible at Torben's guest bathroom. And then I moved my flight back. Supposed to fly at like 10 that morning, moved my flight back to like 4 in the afternoon just to kind of give myself some time, and still didn't feel right. And I really just didn't want to throw up on the plane. So I was like, I'm going to run down this like ER down the street. I was at a light, and I was like left to the airport just to go to my flight, or right to, go to the ER and get some nausea medicine so I don't throw up over, everybody on the plane. And ended up getting there. They ran some tests. They felt like something was off, maybe like appendicitis. Ended up doing a CT scan, and they come back in and they're like, you have parents here? I'm like, no, but that's not usually a good first question.
Nope.
And then they're like, yeah, you're going to be here for a couple of days. You're right lung 50% collapse. So I was like, excuse me? Wow. Like, I didn't really have symptoms of shortness of breath or, pain in my
Interesting,
side.
that would make you throw up.
At first, we thought I like threw up so violently that it caused my lung to collapse, right? Because I legit just had like food poisoning. And I was just so fatigued from the 8 hours I spent dealing with that like I thought that was maybe it. Spent a couple days in the hospital there in Scottsdale. Couldn't get on a plane. They like put this tube in the side of your chest, like inflate your lung back up, like it's kind of a sick deal. And then I had to drive back to Dallas from Scottsdale, and they're like, get a follow-up appointment. You should be okay. And like, see a pulmonologist there. Gave me all the protocol. So get a follow-up appointment a week later. It had collapsed again. And so ultimately I go like literally, Kevin Doherty, who I was like at the time, he was playing on the Corn Ferry Tour. He like drives me to the hospital, drops me off. Like my parents drive down from Oklahoma, and it's like I'm in there for a week, having surgery to permanently fix it so I can get back on my feet, playing, 3 or 4 months later.
Makes my chest hurt. Just listen, like talking about it.
Yeah, did they ever find out why it was doing that?
A hole in it, like a balloon?
Diagnosed as a spontaneous pneumothorax, which is just like it sounds. Like it just kind of it happens, and it's very common.
Spontaneous is the word they use.
Spontaneous pneumothorax.
That's illegal,
right?
What?
They said it's if you look it up, it's like I wouldn't say common, but if it does happen, it happens normally in males like 18 to 35, like low body fat, like cone-shaped lungs instead of box. Like
we're good here.
All right, that's good. I'm good with it. I'm good with spontaneous now.
There's nothing spontaneous about this right now.
Yeah, so yeah. No, just kidding.
I liked it the first time that they were just like, we'll just blow it back up like it's a tire. Like just pump it back up.
Yeah,
and then
literally, that's when it was. Like we're gonna watch you for 2 days. Like we'll make sure it like they kept calling it sticking. Like we'll make sure your lung inflates like and it sticks to the side of your lung, and when it does from like a period of time, you're good.
Yeah, I gotta
like,
stop talking about this.
That's all you got.
My ribs are starting to hurt.
Come on.
A couple days from now, Frankie's going to text us, be like, I got a collapsed lung. I know that I do, so I got to go to the hospital.
Yeah, George Costanza, are you now in a situation where you need to be conscious of it?
No, everything's good. So I had follow-up appointments for about a year after, and told me to live my life as normal, and had any issues, basically show up if I needed them. But no, everything's been good. Been cleared to fly. I mean, I flew from Vegas to Japan last year for the zone. I mean, that's kind of the big concerns is air travel or like, underwater, like deep scuba diving stuff, which I really had no interest in before because I'm not a big ocean guy. So
me either.
You're like, damn it. I was going to become
I bought all this gear. I bought all these flippers. What am I going to do with that?
Wow, man, that's scary. That's scary. And then you 4 years later, you return. Here you are. You get a PGA Tour victory. You take out Jordan Spieth and Shank, and now you're going to be at the Masters. What a story.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I'm super, super excited for sure.
I love it. Well, I mean, congrats. Obviously, that's a scary story. We're all going to go get tested. Frankie's definitely going to claim next time that we're playing golf and he feels a little under the weather.
I think my lung is collapsing. No, I think my lung is actually collapsing.
I can't believe I'm going to finish this round of golf. I have a collapse.
Are you guys,
lung, but we're going to try to get.
You guys coming to Augusta?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will be there all week.
Gonna hit a celeb shot in a par 3 contest. Who wants it?
What? Wow.
That would be pretty
any
dope.
One of us. Give it to any one of us.
I think we'll get banned. I think all of us, everybody on this Zoom right now would get banned.
I think I would get banned, but you guys are going without a credential. You guys can do whatever you want.
No, he can't do that. No, bro. This is your first time. You're never going to get...
Frankie, your wedge game, buddy. It's gotten better. It is a little flip wedge in there.
Way better.
It is coming around right now. It's coming around big time. I feel really confident with it, but I don't want you to not be allowed back. Like, honestly, I think Phil would be allowed back before you if you let us out there. I mean, this is like, it's not good.
How about that? Can't tee off Thursday because you guys out in the par 3 contest. That would be
100% that was on the table if you let us go out there.
You might have your lung might recollapse if that happens.
Yeah,
somebody.
That Scotland picture I told you about just got to my door. Hold on, let me go get it.
Oh yeah, we'll see.
Oh, wow, he's gonna show it to us. That's fantastic.
The unboxing guys. We're back
live on the show. Are you going in with any par 3 contest superstition, like the fact that nobody's won it,
like just lose by 1 just in case,
Yeah, that's smart.
Right?
That's right. You got a putt to win by 1, and you let one of the foreplay guys inside the ropes to hit that putt, knowing that you'll be disqualified.
I'm way too much of a baseball guy, superstition, and like sports betting guy to like chance that. Just Can't do it.
Good. All right, we got a live unboxing here from Borelli, who just got his Scotland
big is
picture
this picture
delivered.
going to be? How big is this picture going to be?
It's pretty big. I'm also wearing my
let's see.
triple XL sweater. Like I'm wearing my comfy clothes today. Like I have my period.
And you're saying that you took this picture from an iPhone and now it's going up on the wall?
Yeah.
How about that?
We'll see if honestly I was a little nervous about the quality. I have no idea.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
This could be
The iPhone.
horrible. This could be
Who'd
really
you use?
embarrassing. What?
Who'd you use?
Who'd you use to frame it?
Mixed tiles.
Okay, mixed
Free ad?
tiles.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't see
This
them.
guy
being
needs a
big.
knife bad.
I'd love to open.
Real bad.
I'd love to
Yeah.
open.
This is gonna be. I mean,
Breathless.
now you're
Like
in
I'm
it.
collapse along.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. That didn't take long.
Jesus. That's not. We're not gonna let you off the hook here. This is your time to fill now.
I know,
Dude,
I
if you
know.
have to get your fingers bloody, just do it. And-
I'm right
Yeah,
there.
you're
I'm-
bought in now, Frankie. You gotta pull this off.
oh boy.
Pen. Now the pen's
Poor
gonna
guy.
explode. Hold on.
Just won a PGA Tour event. He's got a Masters tournament to prepare for, and he's watching Frankie try to get through this box.
And it
No,
looks
this
like
is
he's
great.
hanging
I-
out.
it's a
He's
box
hanging out in
within
an
a box.
insane asylum. What is that white room behind you?
Box in
Dude,
a
we
box?
just got a town hall, but we just don't have anything in it.
Oh,
Nothing.
dude,
Loves it.
this thing is sick, man.
That is
Look
really
at
cool.
that.
Oh, that looks
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
With the white,
Well
and the white
done.
frame. That looks
the
really
white
nice.
frame was really, really risky, but it came out great,
That looks
Great
good.
choice,
dude.
That's
iPhones are
excellent.
unbelievable, aren't they?
They are.
That is stunning.
That's sick.
That is very well done.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Success.
Oh my god,
Success,
so
Frankie.
clear. All right, guys, that was that was good. Well, Taylor, you're awesome. I'm sorry for saying your win was boring. It's just the situation was boring. The situation was boring. I said you
Hey, I get
dominated
it.
the snake pit.
And it was anticlimactic for sure for most golf tournaments, but
You'll get
Hey,
one.
if
You'll
that's
get
o-
one.
if that-
Another one.
yeah, if that's the way I win, then that's how it is.
Oh,
So I'll
dude,
take it.
cash and checks. There's no pictures on the check.
Wire Wednesdays look a lot better. That's for sure.
Wire Wednesday's gonna be sick.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, especially now
Um,
you're in the designated event tier now. You're good for next year. I mean, you made yourself a ton of money this week.
Yeah, I didn't even realize all of that too. I mean, that's a great point with the new schedule change and stuff. I mean, I knew I was in like Century, Maui next year or whatever, and then I guess
all you got to do is
We might go
finish-
to that.
You're ninth. You're ninth. If you don't finish top 50, you got it'd be a really bad second half. So you're in pole position to play in all
collapse
those. next
lung, bro. If I'm not, then I'll just collapse lung. We're good.
What
Medical.
Do you have any guys that I have to watch a baseball game with you in New York? If you're ever in New York, we can go to a Yankee game. I love
Dude,
going
love
to baseball
that.
games.
I
I
would
would
love-
love
I
to go to a
haven't been-
baseball game with a real baseball guy.
Yes. Yeah, I haven't been to Yankee Stadium either before, so I would love to do that or Mets, whatever, City
Do a,
Field,
do
all
a
of it.
series where we
corporate.
just bring Taylor Moore to
pretty
all the cool
corporate.
places he hasn't been to.
Please.
Like Scotland, we'll bring him to Scotland for the Open
like,
Championship.
This is St. Andrews.
Can't believe you guys got to
You-
go there, dude. I missed it by a year. Where is it this year? I don't even know.
Hoylake, Liverpool.
Oh, yeah. That's
Tiger. No drivers.
No drivers. Oh, that's sick.
We were
though.
thinking about Liverpool is a spot I really want to see.
What do you mean no
I wanna see
drivers?
Liverpool.
Tiger
Dude,
won that
Tiger-
hit and drive, or maybe he won. I think he hit one all week.
He had like
I think
one or
he
two
had
Oh, is
one
that
or
what?
two,
Was
yeah.
that Hoylake?
Yeah, that was Hoylake.
It was
yeah.
so burned out. He just hit irons everywhere and dusted
So
the field.
sick. That is so sick to win a major with no
He's so
drivers.
unreal. I hit balls by him at Rip this year, and it's still like just mesmerizing. Like even though he's gone through all this, shit and injuries and stuff, like it's still just like
Dude, that's what he says. He's like, on the range, I can
Go.
do it. It's no problem. And you watch him hit on the
Yeah.
range, and you're like, yes, he can do it.
dude, he's
Were
such
you
a
nervous
flusher.
standing next to him?
Yeah.
Were you nervous standing next to him on the range?
I wasn't too nervous. I mean, I actually met him last year when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame at the Players, which was sick. And then, I mean, Sean Foley, I was working with him at the time too, and we got to he obviously worked with Tiger for a couple of years, and so we got to see him again. And Sean could talk to anybody, so he was super cool about it. But gosh, man, it's just different in person too. Like TV doesn't do it justice what that guy can do with the golf ball.
God, he's sweating all over it. It's so good. See him in person. Seeing him in real
Oh my
life hitting
God.
golf balls is crazy. You're like, I can't believe that guy's real. I can't believe that the guy from the TV machine is actually standing in front of me. It's crazy.
It is
Yeah, it's
crazy.
dope.
Oh man.
We'll see you in Augusta. We're gonna be there for a lot of the week leading up to play, and then once play actually starts, we're probably gonna get out of there. But Dan will obviously there. But yeah, let's
Cool.
let's catch up with you at Augusta, how things are going. And, you know, if you want us to hit a shot, we'll do it. But we're giving you a fair warning on your repercussions might not be great.
That's very fair warning. I will try to feel that one out before
Do you
Wednesday
use like a
see what we got.
specific like coin every time to mark your ball? Are you like superstitious?
Yeah, I have two. Now I had used $1, which is obviously kind of big, so I use that one when I'm kind of far away from the hole, and then I use something smaller when I get close, so I don't piss off everybody that I'm playing with.
I was gonna say if we could give you like a little 4-player Barstool Golf one, like it's something from Barstool Golf being used at the Masters. We gotta figure out something we can throw in your bag. Maybe a little
golf tee.
Maybe you use a tee just once, right? And
Divot tool, tee.
Divot tool. Yeah, we're gonna feed you something. We're gonna throw something in your bag.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
He's gonna use that tee and just hit it right out of, like, in the water. And we're gonna be like, "Fuck, dude, we can't."
Or like the tee just like flies.
I will
It's like a
never
cameraman.
use that tee again if it goes.
Tee like takes someone's like
damn
retina
it.
out or something. Like the tee goes flying backwards, hits the camera guy.
Ruins our whole business.
Yeah,
Foreplay.
they're like, what is
Got
this
some-
tee? Made out of like shitty material.
That's
All
funny.
right, Taylor Moore,
good.
we appreciate it. Congratulations.
Yeah, no, thanks guys. Yeah, thanks for getting me on. I appreciate it. Nice to
Man.
see all you.
Congrats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see you in Augusta in a couple weeks.
So cool.
Congrats.
All right.
Cool, dude.
Thanks,
Later.
guys. See ya.